So it says live.
It says live on my end.
Live on my end too.
Okay. Ooh. All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Casanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mikhail Casanova, and I got two of my really good friends here. I've got the one and only Fabian of GamerThumbTV, and I've got one big boss, the man that's known as the Iron Foot, Tony from Residents of Evil. What's up? How's it going, guys?
What's going on, dude?
Oh man. So go ahead and before we kick this off and we get into it, go ahead. You guys can tell everyone about you. If you're not familiar with them, then I don't know what you're doing with your life. Links are in the description for their channels and outlets. But let's go ahead and have you guys introduce yourselves. Whoever wants to start first.
I guess I'll go. My name is Fabian, GamerThumbTV. Some of my audience probably already in here, but I do a lot of game reviews, a lot of gaming news, movie reviews, the infamous Timeline series that everyone harasses me about 24/7 also. Do a lot of gaming lore, so yeah, if you want to check out my channel, GamerThumbTV. I also usually stream 2 to 3 times a week, so yeah, that about covers it.
And Tony?
I guess for me, as you guys know, I'm one big boss. I run a review channel as well for video games. I do rant videos talking about this and that, about movies, games, pop culture, that kind of thing. And I am also one of the members of the Residents of Evil, where we pretty much cover everything Resident Evil related. And we even have things like our own video game coming out at one point in the next couple of years. And yeah, I'm just like one of like the many people that are part of a really awesome, talented team. We do a lot of charity streams throughout the, like near the end of the year and such, and do a lot of fun stuff over there. We have fun.
Okay. Ooh. And if you're not subscribed to any of their channels, again, I don't know what you're doing with your life. If you're not, links are down in the description below. But yeah, so the reason that we're here and we want to talk about and address the criticisms of Resident Evil 3 and also just the problems of gaming journalism as a whole, because it's funny how I need to catch myself because I want to do a roast, and this is not where I'm gonna do a roast.
Go for it.
I got some things I want to say about my hashtag priorities and little thing. But anyway, there's some things that I've seen as a content creator, as a games journalist, where you got people who are, it's almost like you got the casual gamer now that are the journalists. They're the experts. They're putting out these reviews, and you watch a lot of the reviews on YouTube. You read a lot of the articles from IGN and stuff like that, and it's almost like these people either played their games on easy or with an assist mode or something. Like, if you guys remember, there's a journalist that put out a review for Sekiro last year. He said he had to play it on assist mode and made the game so much better. That's the only way he was able to review it. And then they're talking about how short these games are. Like Resident Evil 3. Oh, they beat it in 4 or 5, 6 hours. I'm sorry, I got a review copy. I know Residents of Evil got one. GamerThumb got one. It's not that short. I'm sorry. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that, the criticisms of the game. And for me, because I feel like the criticisms for Resident Evil 3, a lot of it was too action oriented. It's you don't have multiple characters to play as for like an A-B type scenario. This seems like the same complaints I heard back in 1999 about Resident Evil 3. But anyway, I'll shut up. You guys go ahead and throw your input in there.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying about Resident Evil 3. Like, I keep hearing that it's too short, and it drives me insane when I hear that in general, because anytime I hear all the game journalists saying how short a game is, or the big YouTubers that say it, like, I know you put that on easy and you blew right through it. I know for a fact you did, because today I streamed it 4 hours. Just got to the police station. Mind you, I'm playing on hardcore. So it's going to take a little longer, but at the same time, like I was telling you before we started, when I got to the section of the game where you get a lockpick, you have the choice of continuing forward into the story, or you could turn around, go all the way back to the beginning, and get all the stuff you missed now that you have the lockpick. That's how Capcom intended you to play the game.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you're going to get the most out of it. So if you're just lowering the difficulty and blowing through it forward, you're really robbing yourself of the experience of what the game's intended to be. And a lot of these bigger YouTubers and game journalists, they'll play that way just to spit out a review before everyone else.
Yeah.
And at the same time, that's going to do a disservice to the audience because you're not giving them the full picture. You know? Am I wrong here? You know?
No, you're right. I mean, like I haven't played the game because like my team did get it, but you know, we gave it to one of the other guys because he sets up for other things, so he needed it. So I'll be playing it probably tonight when it drops on PlayStation and such. But that's the thing that I've heard from like a lot of my teammates and friends is that like it is kind of short, but it's like you say, a lot of these people that are out there, like I have other people who are playing it too, and they say that it can be long because there's different ways to play the game. And, you know, people are just like, you know, getting through, probably just want to see how the story ends type deal. And I've done that with games too. Like, I just like games I don't review. I just want to get to the end. I want to see how the story goes. Then I go back and I play what I missed. And that's where people will find where things are, like where the challenge is or where the extra stuff is. Because Resident Evil has always been about that. You can speed run a lot of the older Resident Evil games really fast. But if you really sit down and try to find everything and go through everything, you're going to have content that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And also, let me throw something out there. Does every game need to be Assassin's Creed Odyssey 150 to 200 hours long? Like, does it need to be? Like, why?
As long as it's like, you know, like you got to find mediums. It's like, you know how like some animes out there, like, you know, some animes are really good when they're really long, and then other ones are really good that it's like, man, I'm glad this anime was only like 30 episodes. It would have died if it went further. It's the same thing with games. You got to find that happy medium. You know, some of the games work good being long, you know, like RPGs, obviously, like Persona 5 and the new one that just came out, that's really long. And then, you know, regular like Resident Evil games, we don't need Resident Evil games to be like, you know, like 10 to 12 hours long or stuff, you know, because even Resident Evil 5, if you know what you're doing, you can blow through that in like 7 hours, which is good because 5 had a lot of extra content,
which you can say about most games. I mean, most games, if you know what you're doing, you can blow through it real fast.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, and in Resident Evil, even though like some people are saying it's short and everything, it does have things from what I've been told, you know, like things to find and things to look out for and things to just enjoy. And I think, like I said, I haven't played it, but from what I've seen of that demo and from what I've heard, it just seems like it's one of those games that where, because it's a remake, it's a game you're supposed to go through and just enjoy your surroundings, enjoy the evolution from the 99 version of it to today.
Yeah.
You know, that's just my opinion on that. But
and it's technically, it's not even a remake. I mean, if you play it, it's a full-blown reimagining.
Yeah.
Like, if you play the original and this one back to back, it's night and day. Like, even up to Resident Evil 2 was more of a remake than this. I mean, this one's full-blown reimagining. So it really is an original title.
Well, I actually was told that by one of my friends. It's like, yeah, dude, a lot of stuff is not here from the original. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
If a lot of other things are done right, then I'm okay with that. Because, you know, if you get a shot-for-shot remake of, like, you know, like movies and other things, it might not be that good. Even though the original Resident Evil remake was kind of a shot-for-shot remake with a lot of stuff thrown in. Nothing was really left out. Everything was just kind of expanded upon. And like, you know, like the mansion looked better, you know, like the same areas were there, newer areas in the mansion and the Lisa Trevor's shack and all that stuff. That was all added.
Yeah.
And you know, and you look at stuff like that, it's like it pays respects. Like, I can say this, and Fabian, you probably can agree with this as well. You know, the new version, it pays respects to the original. You know, and one of the things that people are complaining about in reviews is, you know, the instances of Nemesis is very scripted, or he doesn't stalk you the way that Mr. X stalks you. And I'm thinking they probably made it that way because of criticism and feedback for Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 remake. A lot of people bitched about him. So, okay, how would you feel if you had Mr. X that can run, that can grab you from long distance and just stalk you down everywhere?
Well, it was also scripted in the original.
Exactly.
It was never random.
Yeah.
My one criticism of the game, and this goes to what you just said, Mikkel, Capcom's a company that they very much listen to fan feedback.
Yeah.
And when a lot of people complain about something, they're going to respond. Yeah. And if you notice, what did a lot of people complain about in Resident Evil 2 Remake on hardcore? Mind you, it's hardcore. It's supposed to be really hard. People complained that it was too hard. They didn't like the ink ribbons. So Resident Evil 3 on hardcore, there's no ink ribbons. It's unlimited saves.
Yeah.
So so far, I've been loving the game. I honestly have. But you know I like to play my games on really hard. My one criticism so far is that it's significantly easier than Resident Evil 2 on hardcore. Like, past like the first hour, you're fine after that. You're going to have tons of ammo. If you mess up, you're going to go right back to that last checkpoint. There's a typewriter every like 2 feet. You don't have to worry about saving ink ribbons. I kind of feel like that was a direct response to the criticism in 2. But at the same time, like, I feel like that kind of ruins it for the non-casual crowd. You know, like, why not still have that in there and then keep the lower difficulties? But it shows they're listening to fans. They are listening and adjusting, but it goes back to the point that not every game needs to be for everybody. Not every mode in a game should be accessible to everybody. Like, can you imagine if Doom Eternal Nightmare mode, someone that's only played Atari 2600 could come and beat it?
Oh, God.
Like, why? Like, why can't that just be for the most hardcore of the hardcore?
Yeah. Like,
oh, God, it frustrates me so much.
It does. It makes a lot of sense because, you know, I get that gaming has evolved way far beyond anything we've ever seen before, right?
Yeah.
It is a bigger conglomerate, all that kind of thing. You know, people want to make money and they're trying to pull the casuals in. But if you've got something like Resident Evil, a franchise that's been around for like 20 something years, you still got those fans with you. So don't worry about the casuals. Worry about the fans that have supported you for years and years and years. That's the thing you got to worry about. And they're the ones that are going to be happy or, you know, not happy with what you do. And I'm not saying, like, you know, you can't try to bring in new people, but sometimes when they try to do that, I mean, Resident Evil 6, they tried to bring in the Call of Duty people, and we all know how that worked out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, in Resident Evil 3, it does have unlockable harder modes, but one of the things that made Resident Evil 2 Remake such a good experience for me was the fact that I played it for the first time, booted it up on hardcore mode, and it gave me this huge sense of tension. You know, now that's kind of gone. Because it's a lot easier. Well, I'm going to unlock the harder modes after I beat the game. Well, I'm already going to be familiar with it. I'm not going to have that same sense of tension. So it kind of gets lost. It kind of gets lost in that. And going back to that again about the loss of sense of tension, I know, Kelly, you were saying people were complaining that this one's too action-oriented.
Yeah.
That's how the original was.
Yeah, 3 was the most action-oriented of the trilogy.
Yeah, RE2 was the slower-paced, horror-oriented one. 3 was this motherfucker's chasing me with the rocket launcher, I'm hauling ass out of here.
Yeah.
Like that, it was action-oriented. That's always how it was. So you see the same differences in Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake. That's still there. Why is that a complaint? I don't understand. This one was never. It's supposed to be more horror, more action-oriented.
So the other complaint that I've seen is that there's too many reused assets from Resident Evil 2.
It takes place in the same locations.
Yeah, the 99 version did that. We went to the Raccoon City Police Department in the original.
That one, like, oh my god, that one did a lot more of reusing assets. And I don't think people realize how common it is to reuse assets in game development. Because if they didn't do that, let me tell you something. This game would be out by October, not now.
Yeah.
What, you didn't like that Jill wears the shirt that Zoe wears in Resident Evil 7 in her flashback at the beginning? Who cares? Like, is the game still good? Yes or no?
Yeah,
like, that does honestly be the complaint. Jill at the beginning in the flashback, she's wearing the same shirt that Zoe wore in 7. Clearly, they just reused that asset. And?
Yeah, and didn't what do you call it there? Like, wasn't like Umbrella Chronicles? Didn't they like reuse a lot of assets from Outbreak, if I remember correctly?
Umbrella Chronicles? I'm not sure. I don't know.
I believe they did. Yeah.
Yeah, because like Umbrella Chronicles had the like when you play as Ada and she's going through the sewers, that area is where you go in through Outbreak, where you like after the tanker explodes and you go through that like tunnel.
Yeah, you fight the big leech, right?
Yeah,
in Outbreak.
No, not the leech. It's where like you set the tank.
Oh, the fuel tank on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You go into that like walk like that underground area, and then you end up near the Apple Inn, which is where Ada ends up in, and that's where the Outbreak characters. I'm pretty sure they did. But
you're right, because the Apple Inn is an Outbreak.
Yeah,
and you're right.
Yeah, so either way, like, yeah, like they do reuse assets, and it's not a bad thing if it's done right, you know, if it doesn't look bad or something, you know.
The thing is, though, even if they reuse assets, you're creating a brand new game.
Yeah.
Like you're not. It's not the same game.
Mm.
So I just don't understand why that's a criticism. Maybe if half the game was all the same shit, recognizable, sure, but it's like a character was wearing the same pants another character wore. This building might have some pieces from another building in another game. It just adds the way I play video games. That doesn't affect my opinion of the game.
Yeah.
It's just part of the development process to make their job a little easier.
And you look at it like this. So one of the other things about the length is like, okay, you know, the 4 or 5 hours or 6 hours it takes to beat the game. If you break down Resident Evil 2 Remake, because that's the comparison, they're comparing it to Resident Evil 2 Remake. If you do the individual campaigns and you know what you're doing, you can beat A and B scenario in 6 hours in Remake.
Some people less than that.
Yeah. So it's like and then they're complaining that, you know, there's only one campaign. You don't have like an A/B scenario. I'm like, the original.
Yeah, the original didn't either.
It didn't have it either.
Well, you know what's funny? Everyone's complaining about the fact that it only has one campaign. Yet Resident Evil 2 Remake had two campaigns, and then everyone complained that they weren't different enough from each other. So it's like, no matter what, you're not going to make people happy.
Can't please everybody.
And what campaign were they going to add in Resident Evil 3? Like, what, you're going to have a full-blown Carlos campaign?
Well,
Him and Jill are together halfway through the game, and the rest of the time he's in the train. Like, he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, like that's something that like me and the guys on the road talked about. Like we were kind of hoping would be a thing if that was if that was something that was going to be done in the game, was, you know, play a little bit more as Carlos and, you know, have like a bigger role than he did in the first one type deal, you know. And I mean, I was kind of hoping that myself, you know, just to see more exploration. But from what I've seen in the trailers and stuff, it looks like he gets a decent amount of you know, like characteristics and like the things he does in this game. So I was just like, you know what, if they do a good job on that part, then we don't need the scenario.
Well, his role's expanded already. Like, the part I'm in now is completely original, and you're playing as Carlos.
That's good. That's good.
So I mean, they've added to it. That's why I don't think you necessarily need a whole nother campaign, because you're just going to be going through the same areas again. So it's like, what do you need another campaign for in Resident Evil? I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, it's almost like a Devil May Cry 4 scenario where it's like, yeah, we're gonna give you Dante to play as, but you're just playing through the same things that.
Oh God, that was so boring. that is my biggest complaint about Devil May Cry 4. Like, I was all excited that you get to play as Dante now. Copy and paste the same shit over again, same bosses and everything.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you force a B campaign into something that's not necessary.
So one of the other complaints I saw two journalists make this complaint, and it was that they were comparing Resident Evil 3 Remake to Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and they said that they felt that 3 should have been episodic, the way that Resident Evil, the way that Final Fantasy 7 Remake is going to be across like 3 or 4 episodes because of the short length. They wanted more in Resident Evil 3. I'm like, first off, how? It's occurring over
Who
what?
said that?
Huh?
Who said that?
Shit.
Like, why would you? Well, I'm just so confused as to why you would want that.
You know, some companies can't make these big episodic things because what people don't understand is Final Fantasy 7 as an episode is going to be huge. It's like that episode of Final Fantasy 7 trumps what is in Resident Evil 3, I assume.
Well, supposedly, what Square Enix is saying, I don't know how accurate it is, but what they're saying is that episode 1 of Final Fantasy 7 is $60 because it's going to be the length of an entire Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'm fine with it. But Resident Evil 3, if you break, what, like, Jill's going to walk from the tram upstairs and that's the end of episode 1?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to save your episodic things, then, you know, save that for when you bring back Outbreak or something like that, you know, or, you know, like give us like scenarios or whatever, but like big ones or whatever. But yeah, like just it's not something that's going to work.
That would work with Outbreak. Now that you mention that, I think that'd be cool for Outbreak.
Oh, God, yeah, that would be fucking great. I would never ask Capcom for another goddamn thing, except maybe a Breath of Fire 3 remake. But other
no, don't say that. I still want my Resident Evil. I still want my Resident Evil 0 and 1 remake Code Veronica and Dino Crisis. Then I'll never ask them for anything
Wait,
again.
you want a remake of the original Resident Evil remake?
I want a remake in the style of Resident Evil 2. I want Resident Evil 0 and 1 fused into one experience. Like, fused into one big story. Then do Code Veronica. Then you've made me a happy man. Dino Crisis will be a bonus. Then I'm good.
I'd be happy with Dino Crisis too.
So,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good.
No, I was gonna say, okay, what do you think when it comes to like both the YouTubers and the journalists? I know all three of us, we've worked with Capcom, we've worked with other companies to review products, and the timing for those of you who are watching, if you don't understand how review processes go, we're not going to go too in depth into it, but sometimes we'll get codes a month before, 2 months before, a couple weeks before, a day or two before,
day of,
day after,
hour before launch.
Like, there's no time frame, and it's like some people just want to be first to get that review out. So it's like I sent you guys that that video from what was that guy? Because I know Rogue Dragon sent it to me. It was from Upper Echelon Gamers. So he put out his review of what was it? Right? Yeah, Doom Eternal. He shit on the game because he didn't understand the mechanics.
Didn't he backtrack and all that?
He backtracked it in a second video, talking about how how important it is for him to put out a review, because if he doesn't, then people aren't going to buy it. And then talking about all this other shit too. It's just the ego of a lot of these people is like they act like they're the messiah when it comes to putting out reviews and content. I just don't understand this mentality. Like, give me the facts of the game. I don't need you to be overly critical. I don't need you to be overly positive. Is the game fun? Flaws and all, did you have a fun time? And a lot of these journalists and reviewers, they go through everything. They're acting like Digital Foundry. Like, oh, the mechanics, here's the frame rate, here's this, here's that. Okay, that's cool. Did you have fun? Motherfucker, did you have fucking fun?
Things you don't even think about while you're actually playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's I mean, like, being a reviewer can be tough because, like, if you've got like a lot of like followers or people that really do hang on your word, like, you do believe that's like, shit, I got people who listen to what I say. But the whole thing that kind of sparked all this was just, the fact that, like, people need to form their own opinions. You can listen to other people. Like the guy who taught me how to fight and everything, like, whenever like I ask him like for advice about anything about life or in general, he always says, is like, Tony, I can't tell you what to do. I can only give you advice, and that's up to you what you do with it. And that's kind of how reviews should work. Like, we can tell people, but it's also good to have your own opinions and think for yourself. And, with some reviews, there are a lot of them out there, like, especially from IGN. Like, I'm not trying to like shit on them because IGN does do good work on some things I have seen.
Except Philip Mushin, that
yeah.
Fuck that guy.
But overall, it is it's tough, man. Like, you get scared. Like, it's just like, oh, I got to do this. And again, it's just, did you have fun? It's like you said, did you have fun with it? What are the pros? What are the cons? Why are people like, like, even if the game's not for you, try to see it from a fan's point of view, which if you're reviewing a game that you don't like, it doesn't make sense why you're reviewing it in the first place then. That'd be like me reviewing a Madden game.
Exactly.
It's like I'm not going to go out and review Madden when I don't play them. I mean, the only sports games I play are like NFL Blitz. That I could do a great review on and stuff, but with like Madden, there's just like all this stuff involved. I mean, it's easy to see when it's all about like microtransactions and stuff, or the clear disaster of like that last wrestling game that came out. But there's some people I think when they review games, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, I think like one of the best examples when I was researching this and going back to remembering a lot of stuff, IGN gave the Silent Hill HD collection for the PS3 and 360. They gave that game a 9 out of 10. Does anybody remember how bad those games were as HD ports?
They had to release an update to fix it.
And it was only on 360 that worked. PS3 didn't get one.
Actually, I think it was the other way around, actually.
Oh, was it the other way around?
Yeah, because I have the PS3 version because of that reason.
Oh, okay. So
they updated that, 360 got screwed over.
Okay, so I must have wrote that down wrong. But yeah, no, like they did. Like that was the thing. He like, and I'm just like, but there was so many bugs and glitches and issues that it was terrible compared to the original. And your experience now, you're better off playing everybody always said you're better off playing the original. And having gone and played it myself, I realized I was like, you know what, that's what they're saying. Let's check this out. And I'm like, oh my god, like I bought it. I borrowed it off a buddy of mine. Everything, so I didn't buy it. He was like, dude, like I can't play this. See what you think of it. And I was like, okay. And I was just like, holy shit, this is rough, And I tried to find the good in it, but there really wasn't. But IGN gave that a 9 out of 10.
I don't even, to be honest, I don't even pay attention to reviews from like mainstream media like that. When I look at reviews, it's more for entertainment reasons from YouTubers.
Yeah.
Just to see what other people like me thought of a game. But you know what I think the core of the problem is for at least bigger YouTubers that review games? I think it comes down to there's this huge disconnect between them and their audiences. Yeah. Because when they want to review a game, they just want to be the first to get those views. And I've learned over time from my own audience, they don't care so much when you post something. They just want to know your opinion on it.
Yeah.
So I think it's that mentality with some of the bigger YouTubers. And also, it's just easy views for them if they get them out in time. Because they'll get those early numbers from people that don't even really watch their channel that are just looking for reviews on it. And then they'll start parroting other YouTubers. You'll notice something. You'll notice when there's a big AAA release. You got, let me throw an example. I'm just thinking of Angry Joe, whatever. Let's just throw a name up there. Big YouTuber Angry Joe says something critical about a game. Suddenly you see all the smaller ones repeating what he's saying word for word or changing the wording around. They start parroting it and copying each other. And then they've got all these audiences that pay attention to these YouTubers and just decide to go with their opinions. It's fine to have an opinion, but whenever you start absorbing someone else's opinion as your own, you might be missing out on something that's good. You know, that's the most important thing right there.
Yeah, and blatantly ignoring the glaring issues. Like, like obviously, like when it comes to like DLC and all these bad practices and all this stuff, like when reviews completely ignore that, like we were talking about before, like Evolve, that got a 9 out of 10 from IGN, and that was a repetitive game in terms of like how bad it really was, like and how very little there was to do. And then you find out that stuff that should be in the game is locked behind a paywall. Yeah. And somehow that gets a 9 out of 10 and no one talks about it. Or, like the whole Alien Isolation incident where they gave that we can get to that one in a bit, but there was the Doom 2016. They gave that a mediocre score. It was mediocre, like 7.7. It's technically not bad, but if you actually go and read the guy's review, his main problem seems to be that he couldn't play it on normal mode. It's like, well, there is easy mode, dude. You can play it on easy mode. And then it went on to complaining about the multiplayer, and it's like...
just sounds like he wasn't good at video games.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is Doom 2016, Uncharted 2 and 3, Max Payne 3, Tomb Raider, the reboot, all those games are super story, one-player focused. The multiplayer aspect of it, that's just thrown in there. It's not a refined one like something like Halo or Call of Duty. It's there for fun, It's not meant to really be taken seriously. It's just there to like do more stuff with,
Yeah. But, here's the thing. These big review companies, they pick and choose. They pick and choose what they want to like and what they want to dislike for the same reasons. I like to use, and I know I've talked to you about this, I like to use this example. Let's go back in time when Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out, right?
Yeah.
Game's easily 150, 200 hours long if you really want to get in there and do everything. So the main complaint for that was, or the buzz phrase for that was, it takes 15 hours to get going. Which I can go into all kinds of reasons how that's not true, but let's go ahead and just throw that out there. However, Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out, and it's incredibly slow. Great game, incredibly slow-paced, but that gets a pass and that gets perfect scores. So one game's getting shit on for the same exact reason the other one's getting praised for. They pick and choose. They really pick and choose what they want to like, what they want to dislike, and then it's for the same reasons. It makes no sense. So this is why you have to take each game that comes out apart individually. Those are mainstream reviewers, man. That's what it is.
And it's like another game we can bring up that going back to your point, Fabian, about the disconnect between a lot of these people and their audiences. Look at mainstream reviews of a game you and I both love and wondered why that wasn't a movie.
Terminator.
I
knew you were going to say that. I have it in my notes. I'm bringing up Terminator.
Like,
I got shit to say about that.
Dude, everybody who actually played the game loved it. Journalists, well, they shat on it, and it's like I don't understand this disconnect. And, other games. Not only that, let's look at God Hand. That game was shit on when that came out, but people, it's a cult classic. Same thing with Symphony of the Night when that came out back in '97. The gaming media was like, it's okay, it's not that great. They tried to shit on it, and now people loved it. It's a cult classic, and it's just, where is this disconnect? And when you talk about this, about gaming journalism, the problems with it, and like you guys saw, you get people that came. You saw that journalist that attacked me.
I did. Yep.
Like, I'm over here like, dude, if you want, you can come on the show. We can have a discussion. He could have been here with us. Like,
they'll just block you.
Yeah. You know what he did? He deleted everything, the entire conversation, but left off the part. He left off the part where I called him a jackass. And I'm standing by that. Yes, you are a jackass for retweeting me and talking shit about me and not tagging me. So yes, that stands. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I got a lot of flack too and everything. Thankfully, like I did get a lot of people who they were great. Like they were great at like having conversations. They weren't like, they were just like, well, this is, I agree with some things you're saying, but here's the thing about this. And one of the guys was our music guy for Row. Great musician, great guy. His name's Mono Memory, does great music. Like he had a normal conversation and that was great. And others like were doing it too. And that's what it was about. Cause Mikhail, like you saw, like we were getting saying like we were attacking the profession.
Yeah.
And that was not the intent, because we're not attacking the profession. We're attacking those who aren't doing the job right. That's the thing. Like the laziness, the people who aren't doing the reviews properly. And people are like, well, it's their opinion. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's like, no, you can't have that kind of an attitude. Because then the wrong things will get said and good games will get buried. Good games will be, pre-orders will be canceled. And then the game, people find out, oh, this game's actually an actual good game. Like I should not have done that when I did.
And also, to add on to what you're saying, there's a way, if you play a game and you don't like it and you want to share that with your audience, fine. There's a way to critique a game without coming off like a toxic asshole, which is going to get you blacklisted from ever getting another game again. But anyways, let me get into Terminator, because Mikhail, you brought that game up. So when I played that game, where should I start with this? Let me say, can I say a name? Like, I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but like, look at, like, for example, Dreamcast guy. He had the Terminator game on his top 10 worst games. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you watch that video, what do you expect? Why do you think the game's bad? And all it came down to was almost verbatim, this is trash. Skynet makes trash. These robots die too easily. It's trash. That summed up the opinion. And I'm just like, wow, that's not criticism at all. Like, I saw that and I was like, okay, but it's funny because I knew what would happen. If you looked into the comments, everyone's like, but that was a good game. Like, everyone that actually likes Terminator played it. So I bought the game, I played it, enjoyed it. When I did my review, I didn't go out there and kiss its ass and be like, this game's perfect. I made it clear that there's flaws in it. Fun game, very short, no unlockables, no replayability, but it's damn good for Terminator fans. You'll love it. So I recommended that people buy it, maybe wait till it drops in price a little bit first. Yeah. I didn't just say it's all trash.
Yeah, it's definitely not one of those games that's worth the asking price when it first comes out type deal.
But I pointed out its flaws while pointing out what's good. The developer shared it on their social media, my review.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And I didn't give it a perfect score. But you know what they didn't share? The video calling it trash without explaining why it's trash. You know, that's, I don't understand how some people have audiences. I don't understand it.
I think personally, I believe it's just dumb luck at times. You find the people and you share it around, it gets shared around, and YouTube releases the restraints and allows people to see your stuff actually. And sometimes there's a lot of good reviewers out there. I mean, I personally, I love Dreamcast Guy. I like a lot of the stuff that he talks about and everything. But yeah, like you're saying about the Terminator thing. Yeah,
hi guys, it's Dreamcast Guy.
Like, I don't have anything against the guy. Honestly, I barely watch him. I don't know him personally. I think I maybe talked to him once or twice in DMs in the past. But my whole point, like, regardless of who you are, if your overall review is this is trash, but you're not explaining the reasoning behind your opinion, is that a review? Is that a review, or are you just ranting?
Yeah,
that goes for anybody.
Yeah, like I think where if you have an audience of any kind, especially if like you're bigger and stuff, I think you have more kind of a responsibility to be more like Switzerland, be neutral about how you do your reviews. Obviously give your opinions, but again, try to figure out, why other people might like this, why this might appeal to other people, why this might be good, why you might not like it in turns, but you can see why this person may like it or that person. You can't please everybody, but if you can cover your bases and stuff, you come out looking like the good guy and you're just trying to give an opinion and not and one that actually has facts, not people who just say, like, some people who give like no facts at all, because there are a lot of YouTubers out there I've seen that don't give facts, or people that like, or stuff like you see on things like Polygon and everything, like, and how they do reviews, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, or they'll repeat what they see somewhere else, like, like some, I can't think of a specific example, but let's say random big YouTuber A, you'll see, like, I don't know, let's say Resident Evil 3 is trash, and then you click on the video and they talk about articles that they're reading online, but they haven't actually played it. So moments like that, you can't really take someone's opinion when they haven't experienced it themselves. They're just, again, it goes back to what they do. They parrot what other people say, what other articles say, what other bigger YouTubers say. So it's just, I don't know why some people listen to those opinions. Yeah. Make your own.
Actually, my boss is here from the Residence of Evil, JJ, and he says right here in the chat, people appreciate good constructive criticism and honesty, and he's right. Like, if you're just honest with people, and you don't do it for the clicks, and you're doing it because it's a passion, and then honesty will work.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't like honesty. Let's face it. Like, they don't like when you're honest, because your honesty is generally can be seen as negative. Mm-hmm. And if people don't like that, they're just like, oh, you just hate everything. Because I get that all the time. Because I'm a very critical person, right? Mm-hmm. Like when it came to those Disney live action movies, yeah, I've been very critical of those, and I'm not the biggest Disney guy, right? But like, I still can see bad in these movies when I see it, and I've seen the originals too and stuff, and a lot of them are just really bad. I mean, you can find a lot of good in them, but there is
Lion King was pretty bad.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Nobody will say anything about it because of its legacy. That's the thing. It's just like, oh, it's Disney. It's like, so they get a free pass. They're just milking you on nostalgia is what they're doing, and that's the like I was saying that on social media, and my sister saw that and she ripped into me because she is a huge Disney fan. I was like, I get that you like it and everything. I like bad movies too. Okay. I do. I love Expendables 3, and that movie was terrible on so
Wait. So Tony, you're saying you like the last Terminator movie?
I actually no.
I was about to leave. The room. I swear to God, I was about to leave. If he said he liked it, I was like, I'm done.
There are parts I do like about it, but overall, like the first 10 minutes of that movie, if you all haven't seen that movie yet, they pretty much just eradicated the whole point of the first two movies. Like, they mean nothing at that point after that first 10 minutes. Like, it's all, they're on the beach, everything's good, and then like tragedy strikes, and you're like,
God, I actually feel myself getting mad. I'm a huge Terminator fan, by the way.
Yeah, same here. Terminator, Predator, Aliens, I fucking love that shit.
I'll say this about that movie. I liked Arnold, and I liked Sarah Connor.
Yep.
That's it. But in that first part, spoilers, I don't care. John Connor dies in the first 5 minutes. So if you didn't see it, trust me, you didn't miss much. I promise you. But in that, I remember, and I know we're getting off topic, I'll just leave it at this, but I remember sitting in the theater next to my fiance, and when that happened, she looked at me. She's like, "Did that just happen?" And I was like, "Don't even talk to me right now." Like I was livid. I was just sitting there. I was like, "This movie fucking sucks." And she was like, "It just started." I was like, "I don't care what they do from here on." Like
You're
it's this
like
movie
Peter
sucks.
Griffin, Family Guy. Done.
I was. That's it. I'm not gonna talk about it no more. We're good. So,
It makes you wonder why and the game was better than the movie.
hell yeah, it was because it's what the movie should have been. And John Connor still mattered. He doesn't matter in the movie anymore. That's it. My audience knows. No, and they'll troll me on my streams. They'll start talking about it, knowing that it gets me riled up, and I'll keep going. So I'll leave it at that because I'll talk about it for like another hour.
My fans will troll me with, like in good humor about like the incident in Resident Evil Outbreak when I got pulled out the window. It's been like 2 years, and it's never been forgotten about. So I get that. It's funny as hell. Just trigger me, come on.
Yep.
No, but and going back to like the whole thing with reviewers and taking the time to play these games, I'm gonna say this. I got two. I'm gonna roast the fuck out of one, and then the other topic I'm gonna dive into because this is a bit of an inside thing that I see, and I have issue with it. Now, I'm all for journalistic integrity. If you're giving a code, and I'm sure the two of you agree, many of you in the chat. If you're given a code to review a game, like I was sent this, I had to play this through to be able to review it.
And that's not a short game.
No, I've seen some people say you can beat the whole game in 10 hours.
If you skip the cutscenes,
that's not possible.
So it's like, my thing is, if a company sends you codes, like a lot of people think, oh, you're a YouTuber, you're a content creator or a journalist, you get free game codes. Okay, let's quantify free. They give it to us with the expectation as a business that we're going to provide a review, which means we're going to have to play this. We're going to play it through. So if I'm given the code, like I have Final Fantasy VII Remake as of the time of this review,
bastard.
This show. I'm sorry, Fabian. As of this, I've had it for a month. Okay? So it took me literally 57 hours on normal to beat it. It's not a short game. So my review is going to be detailed to a certain extent. I'm going to talk about the great. I'm going to talk about all that. But I played it through. There are people who I know who are going to throw up reviews that haven't played more than 2-3 hours. And I'm in Facebook groups with them. I'm in Twitter discussions with them and Discords and more, where they're like, oh yeah, here's an example. Here's a sample of my review. And I can go on PlayStation. I can go on Xbox. I can go on Switch and see how long these people have actually played these games. Now I'm talking YouTubers and journalists. And that's the problem. And I think Fabian, you and I have talked about this before, is an issue we've seen. How are these people reviewing these games when you barely played the fucking thing? I don't understand that. Like, and this is the problem with game journalism I have, that I think there needs to be some accountability, and companies need to step on this too and be like, hey, this is not okay. We're not going to continue to send you codes because they can see how long you've played. So I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
I think it depends on the game. Like most games, I do think you should play as most of it as possible as you can. Like when, again, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, when that came out, I don't expect someone to actually sit there and put 200 hours in the game to get a review. You could play that game 40, 50 hours and get an idea of, okay, this is the game. Like, this is what it's like. But then you have some people that get a review code and like 2 days later, they already had a review. And it's like some games you do have to, even though you don't have to beat it all the way from beginning to end, 100% everything, you've got to put some significant time to really form a valid opinion of the game. And if you don't, at least disclose that in the review. You know, like if you say, hey, I played the game 3 hours, couldn't get into it. It's not for me. Here's why. Okay, fine. You've disclosed that information.
Or a review in progress.
Yeah, that's another good thing. Review in progress. That's something a lot of journalists should be doing more, and some do. You know, it's not everybody. There are some ones out there that do a good job with that. But if you just spit out a review, say this game sucks, and then it turns out you played 3 hours of a 100-hour game, that's just incredibly flawed logic.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Like you gotta, you know, like I said, the review in progress type deal, like that is a great thing to do because you know you get like it's kind of almost a first impressions of the game and what you've discovered so far. Because some games, yeah, you know, because of how the gaming world works, we don't get our review codes 2 weeks in advance sometimes, or even 3 weeks and stuff. You know, we get it last minute, so sometimes we can't give a proper review. But if that's the case, then take time on that review. Don't you know, like have it come out like when you're ready or anything. Your fans will still listen to you and stuff. And I don't know. I feel that there needs to be some kind of accountability for the people who don't do the job right. And I'm still trying to figure out how some big time gaming journalist websites can put up YouTube videos on the games, and then another person like will put up the same review, but then get flagged for copyright video stuff being on there when it's the same thing as the bigger guy. You know,
copyright. We can do a whole other podcast on just that.
That's true.
That's a deep rabbit hole.
But I feel that that's a little bit connected to this because it's like, so are these companies paying off these reviewers to say these things? Like, is there something in their clause that it's just like, oh, can't say this, can't say this, can't say this, can't say this? You know, like that's the kind of thing I look at with these reviews. It's just like, well, how honest are they? Because if someone's telling you what to say, then it ain't the truth. It's not your words. It's not the truth at all. Because, you know, again, there's what you think, but then again, you have to have the truth when it comes to these things. You got to tell the truth about, yeah, this game can be fun, but the problem is the controls don't exactly work, and you're fighting the camera angle a lot of the time in this game, you know? Something that, you know, in the original Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox was kind of an issue.
Yeah.
Anything back then. As much as I fucking love that game to death, the camera did end up hurting me in combat. Like I was getting like one hit killed and playing Master Ninja mode and stuff, you know? And that's the thing. You got to be honest about that stuff and truthful. You can't just leave that out because they tell you, no, I don't want you talking about this. I don't want you talking about that. You know, it sucks. You know, it sucks when that happens. You know?
Some companies will do that. Some companies will send you a review code with now most, at least in my experience, I don't know about yours, Mikkel, but in my experience, most companies that will send you a review code will give you certain guidelines of what not to mention in terms of like Resident Evil 3. There's certain things I couldn't talk about as far as spoilers. They wanted me to keep that out, but they won't tell you what opinion to form. Some do.
Yep.
Some will. Those are the ones that I would never take a review code for, because if you're going to do that, I'm not going to let you tell me what to say. You know, but some do try to do that. Usually smaller companies, though.
Yeah.
Like I had this one. God, you guys are game Badass Babes.
Yeah.
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 I didn't know what the hell it was. This guy constantly emailed me trying to get me to review it, and it took me a couple of weeks to realize that it was the developer of the game. He kept passing it off as a fan, saying, "Here, you should check this game out. It's great." And then I dug into the profile. Turns out this is the guy that made the game. He was like begging me to review it, and then telling me what I should say about it. And I looked at it, and I was like, "I'm not reviewing. This is garbage. Like, I'm not even going to bother." But I laughed my ass off because he was pretending to be someone recommending a game. Because people in my channel recommend games all the time, but then you're pretending you're not the guy that made the game. Yeah, but
dude, it's like one of the, like I was telling you guys before we went live, and I'll share this with you guys who are watching. With Final Fantasy VII Remake, there's like 5 pages of what I can and cannot say, and I'm tiptoeing around that in my review because I'm like, I can't use footage too far beyond the demo. I can't use, I can't say certain characters. I can't, talk about certain events that happen. And it's like you're pretty much handcuffing me, not with one hand behind my back, with both hands, and you got my feet up, so I'm propped up like a kid, like a fucking pig on a spitfire roast.
Some bondage.
Like some BDSM shit. Like, so what can I say? Like, and I've actually reached out to Square because like I completed my review last week, right? And then I sent it to Square. Then they're like, no, you need to change this because that's giving out too much information. I'm like, okay. So then I sent it back on Saturday. That's too much. I sent it back again on Monday. That's too much. I sent it back again this morning. They're like, no, you need to take this, and that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, see,
Yep.
that's the problem right there. You know, like you're trying to like give the best review you can, and every door that you open to explore, there's a brick wall behind it. And that's not how it should be. Because I understand, like, from the point of view of the company, because they're like, well, this person could trash everything. They've got a couple of thousand followers on their thing. We can't risk that happening. But then you look at the alternative where it's just like, hey, you know what? Let's let them talk about it anyway, because this game's going to get spoiled no matter what by YouTubers and people on Twitter and data miners. It's going to get ruined. We might as well just do it, like, you know, let him say what he needs to say about it. You know, it's like a double-edged sword, but you know, like if they've watched, if the people that send you the codes actually watch your stuff and know how you are as a reviewer, they should have a level of trust, and they should also have a trust in their game that they've been developing, that they're gonna get a fair deal out of this.
Yeah. And some restrictions don't make a lot of sense. Because, like, for example, Resident Evil 3 today was the embargo lift for streaming, so I was allowed to stream it. A lot of the spoilers they didn't want me to show. It's just stuff from the original game that everyone already knows about. So, you know, it's, by the way, for my audience that was there, I talked about this before we started, Kel. I streamed all the way up until you get to the police station. So I had to cut off the stream there because I was reading the email while I was streaming just to remind myself what I wasn't supposed to show. So that whole last part with the tram, I wasn't supposed to show any of it till tomorrow. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't read that part. So I just put the whole thing on private for now. So you guys that were in the stream, you got a bonus sneak peek look. Don't tell Capcom. Hopefully no one sees that from Capcom, but it was an accident.
Calling him right
watching.
I was like, oh, guys, I can't show anything past the police station, but you saw the whole tram part already. Oops. But yeah, like I said, but some of it doesn't make sense because like a lot of it's just the same stuff from the original. Yeah. So it's not really a spoiler. But you know what? Companies have their rules, and either you follow them or you get blacklisted. So I mean that's just how it is.
Yeah, like before you accept it, just like, you know, like if you get like a list of things you can and can't say, just politely decline.
Yeah,
everything. You know, tell them you work
depending on what it is.
Huh?
Well, yeah, depending on what it is. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, just like, you know, I understand not showing like full story stuff. I understand not showing like puzzles or key moments or anything like that. I can understand that, but telling people not to talk about maybe like there's a glitch in the game or we're working on it type deal. If I don't talk about it, some rando is going to do it, and he's going to put it on Reddit. He's going to put it on somewhere where it's going to catch fire, and it's going to look bad. So
some people have the whole game already on YouTube, just like the whole like all the cinematic
or whatever it was. They got it like last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever.
They got to be careful how they send emails, because like I'm looking at the email now, and Mikhail, I told you this last night. I was so mad because there was something new in Resident Evil 3 that happens, and if you were in my stream today, you saw that. There's something that happens where normally I would have like jumped out of my chair like, whoa, that's how that happens. But as I'm flipping through this email, reading about things I'm not supposed to show, there's like, don't show the part where blank, 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 blank. And I was like, why the hell did Capcom tell me in the email that happens? I didn't want to know that. So like they should tell you more, so like when you get to this point, the next 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah, that'd be a good way. If they word it like that, then yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
you want that shock. You want that initial shock. You just want to be like, or something like that, you know?
Yeah. No, it happened, and I was like, I read that in the email. Thank you. Ruined it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, pretty much like, you know, like I said, this isn't like an attack on like like gaming companies and journalism, even though a lot of people are going to say that it is, but it's not. We're just trying to make people more aware. We're trying to make companies aware on how they should be doing things, like how they need to do it better to obviously stop spoilers for the reviewers, how they need to communicate better, whoever they send the codes to in the company, or if it's somebody else that does it. You know, you need to have more of a consistency working with the people, because game reviews are no longer in magazines like they used to. I mean, they still are, but like back in the day, how did you find out about a game? You either heard about it on the playground from somebody,
EGM.
Or you picked up a video game magazine somewhere, and it was never really negative. It just told you a little bit about the game, and it just showed you screenshots in it. And then you just had to be like, all right, well, I've seen some pictures and I've heard some stuff. I do want to check this out. And it's evolved beyond that. And because it has, everybody has to be a little bit more careful on how things are done. And again, it's all about honesty and proper gaming journalism. And a lot of these companies have forgotten that. I mean, you know, like I said, with IGN, again, like they had that Borderlands VR incident where the guy was complaining about stuff. He clearly didn't check that, like, you could switch the controls and make it easier, like to like function better. And like, he didn't even like finish the game. And what was it? The
Cuphead tutorial.
The tutorial. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, the Resident Evil 2 thing. Remember what Resident Evil 2 happened with IGN? The guy didn't know what to do, and like they redacted like a bunch of that stuff, and they're taking.
Oh, what? Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, like, you know, like they were ripping the game for like the wrong reason type deal, and it was just because like they couldn't play it and finish it or whatever it was. And 2's not really hard. I mean, you might get stuck on, like, you know, when you're in the sewer and you got to do like the puzzle and everything like that with the chess pieces and everything. But other than that, like, it's not that difficult of a game. And you might have a tough time in the nest when it comes to the plant parts and everything. But that's really it.
If you think that game wasn't hard, you're going to find Resident Evil 3 Remake incredibly easy. Incredible. I think Resident Evil 2 Remake is significantly harder.
Really? Oh, okay. I mean, I thought the demo for 3 was pretty tough. For like, I felt like zombies were more bullet spongy in that. It felt.
Yeah, they still are, but you can, you know, like I mentioned before, you can save anytime you want, no repercussions. Yeah. So it's not, oh no, I'm low on health and I only have one ink ribbon. Should I save? It's, oh, let me just kill the zombie, go back, save, and now the zombie's still gone. So,
like I said, just in general, it's like, you know, we want change, and if you don't talk about these things, you're gonna get seen as the villain because you're being negative. But in the truth, in the all-seeing eye, you just want things to change for the better. You want things to go. You want companies to succeed. That's the big thing. If the wrong gaming review site or a YouTuber gets a hold of a game early and, you know, like trashes it when it's an actual good game and leaves out all the reasons why it's good, you know, like when like reviews flip flop, like IGN does that. Like, you know, great games are given low scores and bad games are given high scores, and that hurts a lot of things, and you don't want to see the company suffer from that, especially if it's from a series you like.
Yeah.
I think also companies need to start putting the right people on the right games. Like, I'm big on the, like, when Sekiro came out, and mind you, I still haven't played it yet, so I can't really form an opinion on it. But when it came out, people said it was so hard. Then you've got this group of people wanting an easy mode. And it's like, but that's not the way the game was developed at. That's not the way it was intended. I'm big on not every game needs to be for everybody. You know, why can't some games be completely designed just for the hardcore crowd, and then other people could play Animal Crossing, which is like the casual for everybody, no difficulty. You know, like I'm big on that. And you have people that, like the Cuphead tutorial guy. If you saw the Cuphead tutorial video with the game journalist, that it took him like 10 minutes just to jump over the very first. Part of me wants to believe that it was fake because I don't understand, like, why dash. It took so long, but here's the problem: you have people like that reviewing Cuphead. They're not going to say they enjoyed it. They're going to say it was too hard and blast it. You know, so with a game like Cuphead, get someone that's more hardcore, that's right up their alley, to review it and give their opinion. Because, like I said before, not every game needs to be for everybody. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, I know the world's all about inclusivity now, which is fine, but
everyone's a winner.
Yeah, it's like, well, like people asked me on my stream the other day, like, would you let your kids win? Hell no. Like, you know, like my kids, like we're playing Mario Kart. No, bitch, you're getting blue shelled. No mercy. You're getting blue shelled, and I'm throwing a banana in front of you.
You're
I've been
gonna learn
training for
life
this
the
for
hard way.
no. I've been training for this for 33 years. All right, like I'm not losing to you because you want a participation trophy. That's how I am with video games, though. You know, it doesn't need to be for everybody. Let Sekiro be hard without an easy mode. You don't need an easy mode.
Yeah.
You know, either get better at the game or play something else. Play something that might be better for you as a gamer. Why does something need to be toned down?
Yeah, they try to do the same thing with like fighting games. Like when Street Fighter was made to be like easier, they wanted it more for the casuals and stuff like that. And it's like, look, Street Fighter is a franchise that's been around for over 30 years. Like, if people are gonna get into it, they know what it is. They'll get into it. They don't need it to be dumbed down, and they don't need this whole esports thing, which I talked about on my last podcast with my fighting game buddies about like esports and stuff. Yeah. But you know, that's the thing. You know, if you've got your fan base and you've got the loyal people that have been there for the first couple of games, you don't have to worry about trying to bring in other people, because that's when you start losing fans and you start losing money.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, you look at something like Resident Evil 6, that definitely was not a game for everybody. I enjoyed a lot of things about Resident Evil 6,
Fuck
but I definitely
the Ada campaign.
Yeah.
Fuck Ada's campaign.
Oh, man. I like Resident Evil 6. I always tell people that I don't think it's shit like a lot of the viewers said. I think it's a lot of fun. It's not Resident Evil, but it's a lot of fun. But I thought Ada's campaign was boring as hell. I do not like Ada's campaign in that game. I think it's super boring.
Yeah, it wasn't really much to that. And, you know, and like I said, I mean, personally for me, I love Resident Evil 5. Is it a great Resident Evil game? No. That is the most action the series has ever had. I think it's more action than 6, honestly. And I still love it because the co-op aspect of it is some of the best co-op in gaming ever. And the unlockables that are there, all the extra modes that they threw into it and stuff, there's a lot of replay value to it. But again, it just doesn't feel like a Resident Evil game at many times, but it helps the fact that like fan favorites like Chris, Jill, and Wesker are in it and stuff. But and then, you know, Mercenaries brings back Barry and Rebecca. But, you know, you got to stop trying to bring the casuals in and rely on your rely on your customers who buy your games to tell their friends about this or show them this or something like that. And in the world we live in now, it's as simple as like, it's like not even coming over to the house and watching, just be like, hey dude, I got this game. Here's a link. Check it out. I think you're going to like this, you know?
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I agree. Sorry, I'm distracted. I just read Gaming Master Zero's comment. Fabian be treating his kids like Heihachi for a second.
Well, at least I hope you're not going to be throwing them off cliffs and everything.
Oh my god, I forgot what I was going to say. I just read that as I was thinking about it. You guys continue. I completely forgot what the hell I was going to say.
Dude, so I stream Resident Evil. So, like, as you guys know, like, I got the Weekend of Evil, so I stream it. Yeah, I've been streaming the entire series every single weekend, and I agree. The co-op option, the co-op ability in Resident Evil 5 is fucking phenomenal. And yes, Spirit Shock, I see you in the chat. I remember the bridge. You fucked me over twice in the village with that bridge. And here's the thing. I asked you, can I trust you? And now I learned I can never trust a Brit. Okay.
Damn. At least you had a human player.
Yeah.
I played that game through on solo on professional. And the co-op is good until you play the hardest difficulty, the AI co-op.
Every time Chevy gets hit.
Holy shit.
Help!
No, she's like, Chris! Every 2 seconds. That game on the hardest difficulty, it breaks the AI. She can't survive. So I was like, screw you. You're getting nothing. I took away all her first aid, all her guns, and I was like, just survive. It made it way harder because now you have this ball and chain on you that if she dies, you die. So, yeah, that game, you got to play it with a person.
Yeah, especially
if you don't go...
Yeah, like the tanker part, like when you're inside and like all the things are opening and everything's exploding and catching on fire. When you're inside that ship, everything that and like
the boat.
Yeah, the boat. Yeah, like towards the end of the game, like where you're trying to fight Wesker, everything, and you're going through and everything's exploding and stuff, and like the 2 giant like chain gun guys come out.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
There is so much happening in that, and like the friggin' bugs drop down and stuff. There is so much happening in that thing that Sheva gets hit once. You can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
It's like she's dead and you're going to have to start all over.
I'll say this. In Resident Evil 6, the AI was okay. Like on the hardest difficulties, the AI actually does their job, which translates to not dying. But you what?
I only played that game twice on normal. I couldn't do it again. It would drive me to drink.
It's so long.
It is.
Like that game takes ages. And like for me, I really like the Chris campaign because I'm a Chris guy. And the Leon campaign's good, but damn, like Jake and Sherry couldn't stand that campaign, and then Ada.
Come on now.
I hated that campaign. I didn't like doing all the fucking like judo moves, and like I wanted to be Chris and like have the more military style campaign. Leon's was fun, but yeah, I didn't like hers. I didn't like Ada's. Everything else was fine, honestly. Like I like that game. It's a fun action game. It's the Michael Bay of Resident Evil movies. It's just a bunch of ridiculousness with weak story.
RE6 is better than those live action Resident Evil movies.
It's probably inspired by those live action movies with all the ridiculousness happening.
Well, I mean, when you play Umbrella Chronicles, the Red Queen is in it, for crying out loud. She was in the Spencer Mansion.
Well, you remember Outbreak, Resident Evil Outbreak? They took the font from the movie.
Yep.
Like they made it look like the movie Resident Evil logo.
Yep. That came out that game came out a year after the original Resident Evil, I think.
I don't even remember. I just remember seeing the Resident Evil movie in theaters. I had to see it with my mom because I wasn't 17 yet. And you had to watch it with a guardian. And I remember watching and being like, what the fuck? Like, who's Alice? Like, they made up so much stuff. But see, those movies, you can't watch them as Resident Evil movies.
My friends and I, we were so disappointed when we saw that. We felt betrayed. Like we were like, we went through things like the Mario Brothers movie and the Double Dragons movie, and then
do not shit on the Mario Brothers movie. Double Dragon's fair game. I think Double Dragon was a boring movie. I love the Mario Brothers movie. Oh man.
So to touch on something Fabian you had said, and as well as you Tony, I think I've been saying this for a couple of years now, and I've been getting a lot of flack for it. And my belief is when you try to cater to casuals, like casuals are here for a minute and gone the next. You got to cater to your fan base as a company. And it's something you look at Capcom. I love Capcom, but God, Capcom, stop trying to suck everybody's dick, okay?
They've been doing that with Street Fighter.
Like they keep trying to cater to bring in the casual audience. The casual's gonna play it for a couple minutes. Oh, this is cool. On to the next. They're not gonna stick around.
They don't become loyal customers.
No.
They're casual for a reason. Yeah. For like every 10 every 10 casual that picks up the game, you might have one that sticks around. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And that's just the real killer of it. You gotta stay loyal to the people that have been loyal to you. Because again, Capcom is probably my favorite gaming company of all time. And I remember people getting mad at me for being critical of them during those dark years. Everything. I was like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna just stand here and just get punched in the face and just be like, no, this is fine. I like this. No, I'll take this and everything. Keep giving me games like this. I'm totally fine with this. This is great. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be truthful. Anything. Maybe it comes off as dickish and everything like that at times, but you know what? When you're tired of getting screwed over, you have a right to be mad. It's like going to a job and working your ass off and then having everything stolen from you, or like not being respected for the hard work that you do.
Well, if you're not honest and critical with those companies, oh god, what game was it that I was talking to you about it the other day, Mikkel, with Jedi Fallen Order. Like you have to be critical with companies, or else they'll never change. We all know EA's been criticized to shit. Mm-hmm. However, it's equally important to let them know when they do something right. Yeah. So then you've got the anti-EA bandwagon that won't even touch Jedi Fallen Order, even though it's a great game. So that's just going to tell them that all these positive changes didn't matter, so they're going to go right back to what they were doing.
Yeah.
So you have to be honest and put your own biases aside, whether it's good or bad. EA did something awesome with Jedi Fallen Order. They did a great job. I paid $60 for that game day one of release. I want to support it. So to send the message that you did good, this is how you move forward. But if you're just boycotting it, what message are you sending? You're sending the message that, oh, well, you didn't do it right again, so we're just going to go back to what we were doing anyway. At least that was making us money.
Yeah, I mean, I think people were burnt out from, what was it, Battlefront 2 or whatever, that whole fiasco. I think that's why.
Yeah, which is a great game now.
Huh?
which is actually a great game now.
That's what everybody keeps saying.
It is.
A lot of people who were naysayers and everything like went back and played it after all the stuff. But that's the thing. If you're like you gotta listen to your fans, but at the same time, the fans gotta do their part and actually try these things. I know it's hard because we don't have things like Blockbuster anymore and everything, but I mean, like I was always super critical of Call of Duty games. I thought that they got ridiculous. They were overblown, overhyped for legit reasons. But even I'll admit that the newer ones, they've been coming around and doing things differently. It's no longer pay to win type scenarios,
Modern Warfare was badass.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like when companies start listening, the fans also have to be like, okay, they're listening. We can't just say they suck now when they're actually proven that they're doing their job at changing. We got to do and give them this chance. Unless they're Konami, then you don't give them a chance at all.
Hey.
I can't get started on Konami. I'll say this. I'm right there with you with Capcom because I'd say during the early PS3 years through like just before the Xbox One, they Capcom sucked. Like it's a fact. And they were up here and they just dropped. Like remember early 90s, Capcom were like the king of video games, like Super Nintendo and arcade era.
Yep.
And then they went through a huge fall. But now Capcom is once again my favorite video game company. Like in my mind, starting with like I think Mega Man 11 and Resident Evil 7, they really started redeeming themselves.
Yep.
And that's like Konami, where are you? Like I cannot get started on Konami. Like me and Konami have a love-hate relationship. I love your franchises, but you're doing nothing I care about with them. But
you like pachinko machines?
Nope.
Come on.
I don't like pachinko. I don't like mobile games. Give me a real damn Castlevania. But I'm right there with you, Capcom. Though they've completely turned around. Which, like I said before, it's equally important letting them know how good of a job they're doing by supporting their games, or don't if that's not your opinion. But they're doing a good job now.
It was another game that came out that was really good from EA. The people who were on the the whole EA boycott. Titanfall 2. That was amazing.
I never finished it. I own it. I thought it was good, but I never finished it.
People wouldn't touch it because it was EA. And it's like...
That's what people do, though. You get in these bandwagons, and one thing you got to remember, EA is seen as this big bad guy, right?
Yeah.
It's made of a bunch of developers, each individual people, different teams. Mm-hmm. So really, when they actually do something good, like Fallen Order, and you don't support it, you're not hurting EA. You're hurting those individual people that busted their ass for years working on that game. And you're missing out on a great game, so you're hurting yourself in the long run. EA's just going to move on to something else, and then close down that studio that failed. Yeah. I mean, those are the facts. Those are the facts.
So, we had a question in the chat. I think it's from a Philip. I'm not sure where. So he wants to know if we talked about having gathered retailer PR, corporate info. Did he miss that part of the discussion? I feel like we kind of covered all that.
It kind of goes into everything we've talked about in a way. Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, one thing I do want to say about that, because he's talking about retail. I used to work at Best Buy for from the age of 19 to my mid 20s, and when the Wii came out, we were talking about how Nintendo super catered to casuals for a while. Mm-hmm. Nintendo Wii, the amount of shovelware on that console just for I don't even want to think about the shelves full of pets and Hannah Montana clearance disc that we couldn't sell. We had on the shelf constantly.
That was kind of sports games.
When you cater to casuals, you get a plethora of shovelware that just infects stores. So how are you supposed to get this console and pick out the good games when they're in between all this garbage?
Switch right now.
Let casual. Oh yeah, no, Switch absolutely does that. If I like Nintendo exclusives, that's why I have my Switch. I don't care about third party on Switch. I'll get that on PS4 and Xbox. But if you go to the eShop on the Switch, try finding something that you're looking for without searching for it. You have to sift through a million just things that are just almost mobile phone quality.
It's true.
Oh, wait, I see my name there. In your opinion, do you think Capcom is at least trying to please their fans? Heavily. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Capcom is absolutely trying to please their fans. I mean, they've shown it with all these games that are coming out that they've just improved upon constantly. I include Resident Evil 3 Remake in that. Yeah, a lot of the changes in Resident Evil 3 Remake is specifically due to fan feedback from 2. Whether I agree with it or not doesn't matter. The point is that they're listening to fans.
And to touch on that too, to touch on one of the questions Philip had, like all of us here, we know people that work at Capcom, and we know people that work on the PR side of it as well. We're all friends with Kathy from Capcom, and and other people like Katie and such, and seeing the impact. I know a lot of people, a lot of you watching me care about Metacritic. I don't fucking care about Metacritic because it's like Tony said, it's like the Rotten Tomatoes of video games. And it's like, that's not going to tell you if a game is good. If a game is good, it's just an average of positive to negative. And if that's to see the impact of all these reviewers saying don't buy, because going back to what I was seeing with all these YouTubers, don't buy Resident Evil 3. Don't buy it. It's not worth your money. Wait for a sale. It's not this. It's not that. To see the impact of that from not just the consumer level, but from the corporate and the retail side. I have people that I know at Best Buy, at GameStop, at different retailers where they're like, people cancel their pre-orders because of what they saw in the YouTube video. The thumbnail or whatever, the thumbnail or the description said, don't buy it, not worth it. And people now, this current generation, and yes, I'm the old man yelling at the cloud here. This current generation to the generation all of us here on the show come from, we played games. We read the reviews, but we still played the games. There are games that we enjoyed that were critically panned, but we still played them. This new era now, they will take a clickbait article or clickbait review on YouTube and run with it. Like, oh, I'm not going to play it. I'm glad I would have wasted my money. And then come back years later. Oh shit, this game's amazing. How come no one played it? How come no one bought it? How come there's no sequel? Because, and this is going to like, Fabian, you and I is, we both have the background in marketing. It's when you damage, poison, what's the term? Like you damage the public image off the bat. It doesn't care if you come back and, they make all these changes and this
first impression.
Yeah, the first impression, they've already fucked. It's already fucked. I don't care if the Metacritic score is at 80. It doesn't matter. The public perception, because of these content creators and these journalists, is the game is trash. Don't buy it. So it's affecting the retail side, the PR side. Like I've had talks with people in Capcom. They're trying to do damage control because the PR for it is so negative right now.
Especially, and going on to what you're saying too, the problem is a lot of the big YouTubers too. It really is. Because like some channels have millions of viewers, like they have an effect, Like for example, I was talking to you and messaging earlier today. Some Ordinary, Mudahar, I think his name, from Some Ordinary Gamers. I like the guy. I watch his stuff. I find him entertaining. But he posted his thoughts on Resident Evil 3, and the title, Resident Evil 3 is a disappointment. But when you actually watch it, like one of the things he says, and I quote, the story is still as useless as the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. What do you mean? What does that even mean? What do you mean the story is still as useless? They add on to the story of the original game. Yeah. But that alone is going to make people just not even want to play it themselves. And I argue, like, if you're an actual Resident Evil fan and you enjoyed the original, I don't think there's any way you're going to not like this one. And just to add something, I'm reading a comment from Fangirl here, and this ties into what we're saying too. She said, it's just like the new Doom movie. I loved it, but don't think anyone else did. I hated that movie. I thought it was trash. I destroyed it in my review, but she liked it. That's fine. She actually watched it and formed her own opinion. Didn't listen to me. That's what this is about. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Mikkel. Don't listen to Tony. Don't listen to any of us. Make your own opinions. And that comment perfectly exemplifies why. She could have listened to my review and said the movie's trash and not watched it and would have missed out on something she enjoyed.
Yeah. I've actually told people to watch that movie and they're like, what? And I was like, look, the Doom movie that we got with The Rock and Carl Urban, that was a thing. That was
damn you. I like that movie.
that first person, that's fun. But this new Doom movie that came out, it actually has a lot of elements that are from the games and kind of lore in there. And then like when they're actually like when they go through the portals and stuff, does actually look like it's from the game in many ways. Kind of low budget, but you know what?
That was the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know, like,
you left that part out.
Yeah, but like they still threw stuff in, so that was the nice touch. But again, yeah, it's still not a good movie. But I think that like, I think it's one of those movies that you watch to kind of just have fun with and laugh at, But still can appreciate that they actually did put some things into the game the right way. But again, that's my little review on it. I don't expect people to like agree with me on that. It's right. People just like say, "Oh, you know what the fuck you talking about? You're a fucking idiot and everything." Oh, who the fuck wears sunglasses inside? I did. I used to, like for years of doing reviews, I'd always get that, and I was like, "Dude, it's what I do." Like,
There's always like YouTubers always get something out of like Mikkel. I know with you, I'm sorry to bring this up, but it's hilarious. The whole baby face thing. Like I thought I died. But but there's always like people. If this is getting off topic too, but it's crazy being a YouTuber. People will pick out like you're making a video on something and they'll comment something that has nothing to do with anything. Like I always got the comment like, "Oh, I don't like your facial hair. Shave it differently." I was like, "Are you my stylist? Like, why are you commenting this on my Star Wars review?"
My $50 tier on Patreon means if I get enough people on my $50 tier, I will shave it.
That's a good sales tactic right there.
Oh, yeah.
Shameless promotion.
No, the thing of it is, well, I don't have a Patreon, but that's the thing. Like, there are some people who would donate to see a YouTuber do that. And the guy's like, "Ha! I made him shave his beard. Ha! I got $50 from you."
That's like whenever people come by and drop dislikes because your opinion's different. It's like, "Oh, thank you for the engagement. Like you're helping me out."
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things too. Like, like you said, like people will take one thing and they'll just run with it. I have embraced the whole baby face thing, man. I gotta.
You have no choice, man.
I can't. I can't. You know what? I'm bald, beautiful with the baby face, man. It's the 3 Bs right there. So it's just.
I can't shave my face. I look like a baby too. I'll look like a baby also. Like last time I did it is because I messed up and I was like, fuck. So I shaved the whole thing. My fiance was like, "You look like a potato." And I was like, fuck. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, okay, I guess I can't do that again. Like my wife calling me a potato.
But it's like being, and that's to touch on the other part of being a content creator. For those of you who are watching who may not understand some of the things that the 3 of us deal with and other content creators as well, there's a lot of pressure on us. Like when it comes to producing constant quality, putting out reviews, putting out streams, putting out different things. It's tiring. And it's like working with different companies, trying to maintain your social media presence. Not all of us have teams,
That's a whole podcast right there.
Yeah.
No, it's exactly what you said. Like you got people, I don't know, Markiplier, we'll throw a name. They probably have millions of subs. They got a bunch of teams that do this, and that. We do all of it as a one-man show. Well, I know you guys, Resident Evil, I know you have like, what, 3 guys?
Yeah, we got we got 3 guys, and then we got like the other 2, like our boss's other 2, his best friend and his cousin that come on for the streams and stuff, and add a lot of the comedy to it and everything. So like we got a good team, and plus like for the development team of our game, we've got a lot of good people working on that as well. So
that's still a lot of work, though.
Yeah, it is. It's like JJ takes it upon himself to do a lot of the work because it's what he loves to do. Anything as much as like he works his real life job and does stuff on Vigil, he's also doing videos, he's talking with everybody, he's emailing like companies and stuff. Like he does a lot of work. And, you know, if it was me, I would have already turned to the bottle at this point if I had to do the level of stuff he does.
Yeah, it's crazy because people, and it's human nature. When you see a YouTube video, I mean, you're not going to think about all the behind the scenes.
No.
But like just doing YouTube full time, got to make a thumbnail, got to edit, got to script, got to post it, and then you'll forget about the live stream you forgot to render from a week ago, and people are asking you where it is on Twitter, and then you try to promote this and that. Like you could lose your shit doing this.
Well, you know, the funny thing is a lot of people don't believe that YouTube is a viable job. They don't believe that it is. But in all actuality, this is a new world. Like that YouTube now is what TV was when TV was coming into its own. Like when it was just radio for years and then TV started coming around and the Westerns that were on radio are now on TV. I think it's a whole new ball game, and that's what YouTube is. This is the new way that people get their information. It's through Twitter, it's through YouTube. Yeah. It's not relying on news media sites that are like bought out by other companies and they're told what to say. I mean, you know, some gaming sites may be like that, but then there's like guys like us who are freelancers who are going to tell it like it is. No one's telling us what we can and cannot say. No one's going to like threaten to take our job away or our sub count if we don't say this, you know?
Well, and also, oh no, go ahead. Finish.
It's a really long process that people don't think, because I do photography full time as well. I'm also a caretaker for my father and everything, who's very ill, but I also do photography full time. And people have always said, well, that's not a real job. I was like, what? Because I'm not sitting in a cubicle from 9 to 5. If that's what you do for a job, good on you for being able to do that. I tried that before. I couldn't do it.
Same here.
I literally like was going to kill everybody in that office. Well, not kill them because everybody was great to me, but because I was telling jokes the whole time. But, you know, like everybody can't do the same thing as somebody else. And just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not a good thing. Like I said, I got people shitting on me for years for trying to do photography for full time, you know, and it's what I do and it's what I'm good at. And it's tough because I'm up till like early hours of the morning editing on photos. And everybody's just like, dude, when the hell do you sleep? And I'm like, and I just quote Sam Elliott from Roadhouse. I was like, oh, and I'll get all the sleep when I'm dead.
Well, and also, like, I mean, do what you enjoy and figure out a way to make money from it. General rule of life. Because, like you said, 9 to 5, cubicle, I did that. That's all I did. Couldn't stand it. Hated my life. Some people out there might enjoy that. It's not for me. But I can't stand the YouTube's not a real job crowd.
Yeah.
Because, A, if it's not a real job, tell the IRS. Because I'm paying taxes every year like crazy. Yep. Tell the IRS because that's going to be news to them. They're going to be like, oh, really? Pay your money. Anything that taxes you so heavily, I promise you it's a job. And then, what else was I going to say? I don't remember my second point.
All we know is it was going to be a damn good point. We knew that.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Hold on. I remember now. And then you have the people that'll sit there and preach that YouTube's not a stable job, but the irony of that statement to me is crazy because where I used to work for Spectrum Internet. Mm-hmm. And I used to have people there tell me all the time, like, oh, you're going to do YouTube. You're going to be right back here. A year after I quit that job, that entire call center shut down. Even the top manager that ran the whole call center lost job. Friends I had worked there, lost job. Nobody has a job. What am I doing? I'm sitting here streaming and talking about video games still. Even during this whole coronavirus epidemic, you know, like people are losing jobs like crazy. My fiance got laid off last week. Oh. And here I am paying the bills by myself doing YouTube. So it's like, and it's not a job? How is it not a job? I think that requires more explanation.
Yeah.
Anything's a job if you could figure out a way to make money from it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still live paycheck to paycheck like most Americans. I get sick and have to pay $200. I had to go to the doctor. Kel, you remember? I had to pay like $200 and then like $40 for antibiotics because I don't have insurance. You know, I was broke as hell till I got paid again because of that. But you know what? I'm way happier now than when I was making a ton of money sitting in an office with my thumb up my ass talking to customers 9 to 5.
Yeah,
exactly, just like that. So I hated it.
Again, not to shit on anybody who does do office work, because again, like some people enjoy doing it, and some people like do it because they have to. And for the people who do it because they have to, like, you know, salutes to you, man. Because like I tried it too, and it's tough. It's really tough, especially when you're not into it and you still put everything into it and you don't get anything back in return. It's rough, and you know, and like it's like you said. anything's a job these days, especially when the government's taking money from you.
Mhm.
You know, and I think a lot of people are just like, you know, they're mad because you're also not out there breaking your ass, like, you know, like doing like road construction or carpentry and stuff. And my father, like, he was a carpenter for years before everything like went south on him and stuff like that. And he was also like, and he was doing that. He had his own carpentry business while he was a police officer. So, you know, and like he, you know, he wanted me to be a cop, and he's in this day and age, he said he was glad that I didn't. But he even says he doesn't fully understand like how photography is a viable business, but he knows that it makes me happy and it does pay the bills. Anything,
Yeah.
he's proud of me for that. Anything,
And,
might
like,
not be what he wanted from me, but he's glad that I am where I am right now.
I think people in general worry too much about how other people make their money, honestly. Because it's like, some people are like, oh, well, I bust my ass in construction. Great. You were able to do that. You also have the option not to.
Yeah.
Everybody does. Why? Because you do it. Why do I have to go be a construction worker, you know? Why do I have to go work at a call center? I don't want to. Isn't that the American dream? You know, you come here, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm running for president next year. No, man, like I would be the worst president. I'd be hitting nuclear launch codes every fucking day, and not even out of the countries. I'd just be like people that I fucking hate.
Shit, I'll vote for you over the two current choices we have.
Dude, can you imagine me as president?
National roast day.
Putting every ass. I don't know, like it just. You know, like at the end of the day, if you like, it's like the guy, like I said, the guy who taught me how to fight, taught me a lot about life too. And he said this to me one time. He goes, "Who the fuck cares what people think of you or what they're trying to tell you to do? They're not paying your bills. They're not helping you in any way when you need it. Anything. Don't listen to them. Do what you have to do, because at the end of the day, they're not paying your bills. They're not calling and help you out. They're not even calling to check and see if you're doing all right. You got to do what's right by you, and it's the truth. You know." And like, and like, dude, like you said, like, you know, you got a fiance who's out of work now, and you're supporting it, and that's what you should do. Because I ever since this virus thing happened and stuff, I've seen people I know, they went through breakups and stuff because one had to support the other, and it's just like, wait, like they got mad because now like they were out of a job, and you made them try to get another job, and you broke up with them because they didn't have one. Like the mentality of a lot of people is really weird. Like they don't understand, like in relationships, it's not 50-50. It's literally like 100% both of you working together. Yeah. And you know, there's an old like rule that happened like years ago, like actually not so long ago, when my mentor was actually over in England for his job for 4 years with he and his wife. So they're there for 5 years. People in the village that they stayed at, some of them like were going through hard times, and everybody in the village would like come out and like, you know, like help them out and everything like that. And when my mentor and his wife moved back here, the whole village showed up to help empty out their house and load up the truck. And when I went over there to visit them and stuff, I couldn't believe how different it was from America. It's just like, you know, people are so much nicer. They're asking questions about you. You bump into the wrong guy in here and fucking, you know, you in America and stuff like that, it's either going to be a fist fight or a gunfight, which bring it on either way. I'm ready. So. But that's the thing, you know, like people have just kind of forgotten like the way of like, you know, helping others, like this whole coronavirus thing, you know, it's just like, if all these people were buying up all this toilet paper for no fucking reason, how about you give it to the elderly people or the people who are it's too dangerous for them to leave their house? Like go to their homes if you know them, give them these toilet papers, give them the food you got and everything, you know, like that's the thing. If it was like that a little bit more, world would be a little bit better of a place than it is already. I mean, it's kind of bad at times, but like that's the thing, you know. There's a level of respect for a lot of things that just isn't there anymore because people don't understand, and what they don't understand, they criticize. Instead of being afraid, they just criticize now because I think because of technology, everybody's got a freaking voice.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna keep talking. I'm just gonna run to the bathroom real quick.
No, go ahead.
I drink a lot of water.
No, that's fine. It's like you know, this whole situation with the virus. Like my wife, she got laid off from her job, so for the last 2 weeks, you know, she's been home. But thankfully for her, she has a backup with content creation, so she can do that. You know, she can still stream, she can still do reviews, she can still do her arts and crafts and stuff like that. And it's, you know, this whole situation with, you know, how people, they don't understand what we do as content creators. They don't understand what we do. And when I say content creators, it's anyone who's creating content. Like you being a photographer, that is content that people will consume, people will pay into, people will need. And this whole stigma. And I know we were supposed to, I know this was about the criticisms of Resident Evil
and video games and stuff.
Yeah, but you know what? Conversations organically shift to other topics. You know, that's what keeps this show, and that's why I got you and Fabian on here, because we can talk about shit like this. But you know, this whole stigma that people have about, you know, what is and isn't a real job. You know, like I've had my ex who, for some strange reason, hits me up, and other people hit me up like, you do YouTube? Like, oh, you have a little podcast? You do this? You do that?
Like, yes, I do.
Like, how do you make money? How is that sustainable? Like, it just seems like it's not a stable job. And then now, what's funny, I shit you not, today, two of them, my ex and one other person, got laid off from their job because it's not essential. And now they're saying like, oh, so I'm thinking about, I'd like to start a podcast. You think you can give me some tips?
That's how it always works.
I know you've talked to me about that, how much it drives you crazy when I'm not against giving people tips. I give people tips all the time. I think it's a good thing to do, but you have that 1% of people that will try to have you become like their master and overlord and teach them everything. Mm-hmm. And with YouTube, like
Chobin Rezzle. Sorry.
With YouTube, you have to get it. One of my friends is a good example. He tried YouTube for a year, already quit, got 500 subs in a year, which is great. Yep. That's actually good. He said it didn't grow fast enough and he got frustrated and he quit. And I was like, you know, it's not for everybody. You know, you got to expect slow growth. Mm-hmm. But it's rough.
And then there's the stigma around, you know, like you got people like Radical Rick and others who criticize those who have like us having, you know, Patreon and
that's what I was going to bring up.
Affiliate links. Go for it.
Oh no, that's what I said earlier when I said I forgot what I was going to say. It was that what you're talking about.
Like again, this goes into, you know, what you said. Like people need to stop being concerned about how others get their money. But at the same time, it's like, well, I don't understand that stigma where it's so wrong for people who enjoy our content to support, you know, even if it's a like or if it's $1 donation or whatever, if they want to support some Patreon or have a channel membership or an OnlyFans, which I'm going to have one out where I'm showing my beautiful muscular legs. Anyway, you know, I don't understand why it's so wrong for us to have this and the criticisms of that. But you'll go to a movie or pay to be on a celebrity's what is it? What is that app?
That one where like out for like the $200.
Didn't Jeremy Renner have his own app now or something?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
But they'll support that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they'll go to a convention and everything. They'll pay like $80 to over $100 for like a 4-day pass and then go meet celebrities that they love and have to pay like $40-50. I remember that one year at New York Comic Con. I came up from Boston from it, and Sylvester Stallone, I think his was like $400 to meet him and stuff. And people were paying it. There was a line outside the private area for him and stuff. And you know, if that's what people want to do, that's fine. But what people don't understand is content creators on YouTube, you don't make anything on YouTube. It's all through sponsorships and the fans. Everything, you know, like that's the thing. And merchandise. What was it? The Completionist was talking about that recently in one of his newer videos where he feels that he's stuck with YouTube. Even though he has 1 million followers, it's rough because he's had to let people in the office go and they do all their merchandising in-house now. So they get 100% of the profits to keep the show going, to keep people paid. But he's tired of people like YouTube, you know, that don't conform to the algorithm. It's just like, oh yeah, Fortnite's the thing everybody's playing. You should play that too. And he won't do it. And I praise him for sticking to his guns for that. But that's the thing. That's the reason why so many content creators have Patreons now, because that's how they survive. Everything. That's how they get the early access to earlier podcasts or videos in the day. I mean, like I'm for I think it's like $10 a month. I follow Little V on Patreon so I can get his music early because I love his fucking music. And that's $10, and I'm helping out a content creator. And let's face it, a lot of even like I don't know how much. I think Patreon takes a small chunk out. At least I hope they do. But
yeah, they do.
It's like what 3% or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, they take something.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. People who shit on content creators for pushing Patreon, you don't have to buy into it. You're still going to get videos. You're still going to get what we produce and everything. You just don't get the perks that come along with it, but you're still getting the free entertainment. You know? That's the thing. Like, that's where we're at now. Like, because YouTube is what it is. The Patreon is needed for those who have it. It's not just for cosplayers and everything like that, or people that do artwork and music and stuff. It's for the content creators that are on YouTube. Which there are content creators too as well. But.
It's Twitch too, because like when I had Gothic's model on last week, her and Ashton Christ, they both, they're Twitch partners and everything. I didn't know until I talked to them, and I eventually talked to Harris Heller as well. Twitch takes over 50% of whatever you make.
Oh, I thought Twitch and YouTube were on the same amount of what they took out.
No, Twitch, they changed it up, so it's 50% now.
Oh,
so
wow.
that includes donations. Includes donations. Like if you're doing donations straight through Twitch, they take that, memberships or subs and all that bits. Yeah,
I don't even understand that. It like you're saying, Radical Rick, like he has this like vendetta against people at Patreon. I never understood that mentality. This goes back to what I say about don't worry how other people make their money, just worry about yourself. But like for example, Patreon, the only reason I even started one was because people kept asking me for one. Because they don't realize sometimes fans want to support a creator that way. They do, and it gives them that kind of backdoor connection where they have that one-on-one with the creator. Like I know you, me, Rogue Dragon, we talk all the time on Patreon messages. Just connect. Some people like having that. So just having this like, and it goes back to the whole bandwagoning thing. Like you have this anti fill in the blanks. It's not so black and white. Sometimes viewers want their creator to have some way where they can give a little extra. And I always stress to people, you don't have to do that. Yeah. Do it if you want to. People could give nothing and I would still do YouTube. And like we kind of know you and me were talking about how on your streams, how sometimes people apologize because they can only like give $1. It's like, well, don't apologize. Like you don't have to give anything, but even if you give $1, that can turn a shitty day into a motivating day.
Yeah.
And we all have our shitty days. Everyone that does YouTube. Yeah. Everyone that even doesn't do YouTube has shitty days. That can make a huge difference just by like $1.
So it's like I always say, the smallest act of kindness can change a person's day around. Like when it happens on the row, when like especially if like JJ's always appreciative of it, but when it happens to like me, the fact that like someone's giving me money for this channel, like some dude, this loudmouth guy from Boston wearing sunglasses, and people all of a sudden are donating anywhere from $1 to like $100 and shit. Like it's crazy. Like, and it really like changes. It makes you think. And then there's people saying it's like, look, I don't have that much money, but here's $10 and stuff like that. I love the content. And I was like, well, I mean, we always tell them it's like, look, if you got going through bad times, just come watch the streams. Share them if you want. You don't have to donate and everything. We don't want your money if you're in hard times. Don't put yourself further in the hole. Just stick here, be a fan, and just enjoy the content. And we'll chat with you here, that kind of thing. And so it's really amazing that like the kindness of people that are out there when you get the people who understand what you're about. Yeah. It's just sad that there's other people like that Rick guy you're talking about who doesn't get it.
Oh, and on the other spectrum, you've got other like Neil in the chat just posted. People like Bad Bunny chick pissed me off. Remember Bad Bunny? Yeah. She was like berating her audience
for not donating.
And I didn't even know that. I didn't know who she was. Apparently, that's a regular thing she does. But to me, it's just like, oh my God, I saw that. I genuinely like. My blood was boiling because it makes all of us look bad. Those are the people like Radical Rick will make videos on and be like, this is why you don't donate to YouTubers or Twitchers. People like that ruin it for everybody. But I genuinely was mad because your audience doesn't owe you shit. They don't. Like, all three of us here, not one person in our audience owes us anything.
Nope.
You know, if they want to spend money on us and they choose to and want to and can, that's fine. But they don't have to do that. Nobody owes you that. And then you got entitled people like this saying like Wings of Redemption. Wings of Redemption, another one. He was like doing Call of Duty. It's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna require $10 an hour to continue the stream. It's like, what the? We'll turn it off then. Like what? Like what? Why? Because you don't want to play it. Now you're forcing people to pay you to keep playing. Everyone in the chat, everyone watching this right now, do not give a damn penny to anyone that holds the video hostage for your money. Please don't, because they're going to keep doing it. And those are clearly people that are just unhappy with the job already. If you're unhappy with the job, stop doing the job. Go find something else to do that doesn't make you miserable. You have that option too, but instead you're going to berate people and that take time out of their day to come watch you so you can yell at them for not giving you more money. Fuck out of here. Like, it stresses me the hell out. I can't stand that mentality.
Dude, there are even people that get pissed off at us creators because we'll have Amazon affiliate links, or we have affiliate links for certain products or whatnot that we may review, and it's like, even if okay, this is what I tell people. I'm like, the benefit of doing affiliate links, if you're gonna buy something, and if we have a link for it, say like my mic here. This is a $250 mic. If you use the affiliate link and buy this Rode Procaster, guess how much I get back? I get $5. But that $5 still goes a long way for me in putting back quality into my content. But at the same time, if you don't want to buy it from my Amazon affiliate link, if you want to go to Guitar Center or wherever and buy it, you can. We're not telling you that you have to support us. And I think people like Rick don't get that.
Well, and also it doesn't cost you anything to do.
No.
Yeah.
Like if you're just going on Amazon, if you're going to buy something anyways, I mean, there's stuff I've bought on Amazon using links from other creators I follow just because I was going to buy it anyway. Might as well throw a couple dollars their way, you know?
Same.
Yeah.
I just, again, you need to stop worrying about how other people make their money. Like, and that goes out mainly to other content creators that bash other people for doing the same things that when they grow, they're going to start doing, mark my words.
Yeah.
Oh, like Rick's already doing it.
Oh, is he? Oh, there you go. I don't watch him. I don't know. I've only seen a couple things out of him, but if you're a channel and you're growing, you're telling me that when you get to like 50,000 subs, you're not going to open up a Patreon, you're full of shit. Yeah. That's exactly what you're going to do, you know, and that's just hypocritical. And, you know, audiences aren't stupid. They'll call you out on it. People know.
But you're not allowed to call them out on it.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
Well, okay, so
happening.
Like my background for photography, I'm most known for cosplay. And in the world of cosplay, right now, the best thing that like female cosplayers do to get noticed is they do a lot of boudoir shoots of these video game and anime characters, right? Nothing wrong with that. If that's what they want to do, fine, because I shoot that stuff. That's how I make my money, is doing stuff like that. But the problem is, it's always the people who said that they would never do that. They would never do anything like that, yada, yada, yada. And then they turn around and they start doing it because they see the money that the others are making. And when people call them out on it, it's like, but here's this. This is what you were saying like a month ago, saying you would never do it. Now you are. And it's just like, well, you can't say that about me. And then like everybody comes in white knights for them and everything, you know, and it's ridiculous. It's, you know, it's like, stick to your guns.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, like I tell people that all the time. It's like, if you want to do it, fine. But like, don't trash it and then start doing it because you see people are making like bank on it and stuff, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you got
to shout out to Elam99 for becoming a channel member. You didn't have to do that, my guy. You did not have to do that. But thank you.
He's like, in that case.
He's like, let me take that shit back. Go ahead, Fabian. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, like, people bashing, like, people for making money off cosplayers. Like, you can do that, too. Like, Tony, if he wants to get in boudoir cosplay, get into it. Like, you also have that option.
Well, not saying I haven't done it in the past. But, you know,
Just saying, people complain about other people making money. It's like you also have the option to do what they do. Go do it then.
I was gonna be the Dirk Diggler of cosplay. Okay, I don't think a lot of young people are gonna know Maki Mock's early that movie, but go watch Boogie Nights. I am from Boston, and no, I do not know Mark Wahlberg. That is like the number one question I get asked all the time from Boston. It's like, oh yeah, you know Mark Wahlberg?
I met his brother.
Which Donnie?
I live in Orlando. They opened up Wahlburgers.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got a restaurant here.
Well, the funny thing was, I had an ex who lives in South Boston, and of course, you know, the Wahlbergs grew up in Dorchester, so it's like neighboring, warring factions, right? So her brother beat the crap out of Mark and Donnie years ago in a fight, and they became friends like afterwards, right? So she told me that story. So when I finally got to meet the brother, I remember that's the first thing I was like, so you're the man who beat up the Wahlbergs. And he's like, oh my God, did she tell everybody that story? And it's like, that was years ago. Like, we were teenagers. Like, that's what we did back then. We were friends afterwards. And I just thought that was always funny. Like, because like you meet the guy and you look at him, it's like, he doesn't look like a guy who would beat up the Wahlbergs. He's just like super nice and super cool and stuff like that. That South Boston like attitude that you see in the movies is actually legit. Like every movie you see about South Boston or Boston in general, that's one thing Hollywood does right. The natives have always told the people that are from Hollywood, it's like, don't screw up the accent and don't screw up how we act. It's got to be this. Everything. So, but yeah, no, I don't know Mark Wahlberg. I would like to meet him. I heard he's a funny bastard. For
some reason, a lot of celebrities come to Orlando and open businesses. Like NSYNC, they were from Orlando originally. Joey Fatone, he opened a hot dog place called Fat Ones here.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that.
Embarrassing. I mean, it took me forever to realize that Fat Ones is his last name, Fatone. And when I learned that, my wife told me that, and I was like, oh my God. Like it just never popped in my head. I went to this arcade bar called Joysticks Arcade down in downtown Orlando once, and he was down there in his little food truck just giving out hot dogs.
Nice.
It's crazy down here. Oh, in the Q&A section?
Yeah, well, the only other thing I could think of, we could probably talk on, the last thing I have anyway, is what do you guys think of our posts pissing off all these journalists by saying the people need to think for themselves? I think there's a lot of people from the gaming industry that actually liked our posts.
I mean, I think that was going to happen because here's the thing. Human nature, you don't like being called out when you do something wrong. Yeah. So, yeah, the ones that you know who you are if we're talking about you. Mm-hmm. Like, you know exactly who you are and you're not going to like what we have to say about it, but it is the truth. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at all by that. When you told me that, I was like, well, yeah, I'd be shocked if they weren't upset about it.
I was mostly shocked that it caught fire like it did. I was shocked. Like, because like my tweets don't really get a lot of interaction. It's all like I feel like Twitter hides a lot of them and stuff. But that thing blew the hell up, and
it really did.
Yeah, and again, like I wasn't attacking the profession as a whole, because that's like one of the things as a photographer. This happens to me a lot because I'm a male photographer. In the cosplay world, there's a lot of problems with male photographers right now being scam artists and creepos with cameras and trying to touch the girls and shit like that. And there's female photographers who do the same shit too. Believe me, there's been some in New England that were found out, like, not like touching. One was touching. Others are like scam artists and everything like that. If you're not like big and important, your work isn't going to look as good. Anyway, because I'm a man and I'm a photographer, women instantly don't want to work with me because of the bad shit that's already happened. So I get blamed for something I never did. Like, no one's ever blamed me for it, but they're just like, well, you're a guy. I don't want to work with you because I've had bad experiences. And I always tell them, it's like, you can bring your boyfriend or your girlfriend or anybody you want to the shoot. We could use an assistant and everything, and it helps change their mind. And, once like people will research and find out about me, they find out that I'm very credible. But that's the problem. Like, I wasn't attacking an entire profession. It was just going after the people who do reviews the wrong way, and they're paid to say things differently, and they're not doing the job right. Because we just want things to be said right, and because we don't want companies to suffer from it, or we want companies to rethink how they do games in the future when people realize, oh yeah, shit, we made a bad game. Or anything like the people know that we made a bad game.
I think it's important to talk about this topic also because to add on to your reasons, I also think it's important for companies to see this and realize that not every content creator is going to bash on your game relentlessly. You know, like some actually do valid criticism. Some can still say your game has flaws, but this is what I liked about it, without just calling it trash. You know, that I think that's possibly even more important, because, you know, there's a reason a lot of these companies won't even work with content creators.
Yeah.
You know, some of them just won't want to touch them because things like this. Negativity sells.
Yeah.
You know, they used to say sex sells. Not anymore. It's negativity now. You know,
it still does, but
but like it's true though. Like everything's negative now. Like what on the news, TV, everything's negative. So when you go into YouTube and people are writing these like shock articles about how bad this is, those channels, when something's good, they're not going to want to report on it. Like for example, like when's the last positive video the Quartering made? I mean, every single video.
When he said Reddit,
I have emails, but proving that's false. But I won't get into that on this stream because that's a whole other topic. But my whole point is, when's the last time you made a positive video? The guy gets millions of subscribers, millions of views. It's all just negativity.
Yeah.
So that's what people like that feed off of, and that's why we're, as a YouTube culture, that's why we're in the position where we are now. You know, and it's going to get to the point where companies are going to be like, well, fuck it. We're just going to go with mainstream because all these content creators are just destroying everything. A lot of times, even before something comes out. Before it comes out.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like one thing that's getting shredded, I haven't played it myself on yet, but one thing that's now the worst thing ever is Predator Hunting Grounds. But it was just the beta. Wait till the full game comes out.
That was the problem. It was a beta. And nobody was saying beta. I mean, there was people that were saying beta, but a lot of people who trashed it all over the internet and how Twitter spreads like wildfire.
Well, yeah, there's a video I saw that I assume it's still up on YouTube, but the title was something like Predator Hunting Grounds is the worst game of 2020. It's like the game's not out.
It's a beta, you idiots. God damn.
Like,
that's like saying Resident Evil Resistance is pure crap because it wouldn't run on the PlayStation.
Exactly. Like, maybe it will be the worst game of 2020, but you can't judge that from a beta.
Yeah, because what people don't understand is betas and demos, when you get these things, especially demos are from months ago. Like, you're playing the build from like 6-7 months ago. The game has changed dramatically since then. That's why I personally believe no more demos. I don't think I really don't feel that demos help, because especially when they get put on PC and data mined, you know, keep them on consoles if you want, but at least give us a demo that's up to date in many ways, because I feel that the demos that you're giving us, they're coming out too late to where you can't change the game at this point.
Well, look at Resident Evil 3. That's out, and the demo came out, what, a couple days ago?
Yeah.
Like, what, last week, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
It's like right there. Like, it's honestly kind of pointless releasing it so late, because the people that are going to get the game are going to get it already.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think a demo is going to convince someone the week before. But even, like, going back to the whole thing about betas, like, betas are kind of meant to be broken. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Like, that's the whole point of a beta. Like, it's not the finished product. But yet you have people taking that, running with the headline. I'm going to look it up and see if I can find that video. I want to see what the exact title was.
Shout out to Nentaku Dragon Soul for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. He says you need to catch more of the streams like these. Hey, we do it every week. Which actually, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and Fabian, all credit goes to you for this, because we had a conversation a couple months ago where you were like, "How come you don't do your podcast live?" And I didn't have a good answer for that. And then I started doing it live, and people, you know, I guess people tend to enjoy it more live, and that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing. Like, you're gonna get a live stream podcast like this every week with the Casanova podcast, and with the new one, because this podcast we're doing here is actually part of the new show, the best damn podcast show, period. So you guys are the first guest technically on that show.
Woo!
So it's a transition. It's a transition from the old to the new.
We gotta do these more often.
I do. I really do. You know, I want to have it where, like, every week with the best damn show, damn, I can't even say it. The best damn podcast show, period. I want to have it where I have you guys on, where you can hop on. We just talk about anything. We shoot shit about anything, movies, games, tech, whatever's going on. And there's just no filter. You know, it's like no filter, no bullshit. Let's just have fun. Because as much as I enjoy interviewing people, I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of tired of it. And voice actors, especially the furry kind, have kind of pissed me off lately with voice acting. So I'm kind of like, you know what? Whatever. Let me do something else.
You know what's funny about your podcast? I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I've noticed. I can tell when you're bored out of your mind. Like, oh, God, I'm trying to remember which one it was. Oh, man, you were on a podcast, and someone said something that I know for a fact you disagree with because we've talked about it.
I know which one.
And I looked at your face, and I told Ronnie, that's my wife, by the way. I was like, look, come here. Look at Mikkel's face. I was like, let me tell you. And I was like, we talked about this. He completely disagrees. And I just saw you like, yeah. And in my head, I was like, oh, he knows. He's full of shit. But you were like, yeah. And in my head, I was like, oh, but like I could tell when you're bored out of your mind. I won't say any names because I don't want to put any negativity on your content. But I watch most of your podcasts while I'm editing, and when you're interviewing someone that I know is boring you, like it's to me it's very obvious because I know how you are when you're live and entertained and talking on streams, and I know how you are when you're later on. You're gonna be like, I interviewed this bitch like 3 months later on stream, and then you turn on your little campfire sound effect on your stream, and you're like, this is gonna be a roast. And I was like, I saw that 3 months ago, and I said he was bored. So yeah, my point is like I think you're gonna enjoy changing directions.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like how we do things on the road when we do our interviews with the voice actors. Most of them are done live, and our theory is like we keep it what I call it keeping it very Joe Rogan like, because when Joe Rogan does a podcast, he talks about everything with his guests, and that's what we try to do because a lot of guests get asked the same questions over and over and over, and you gotta start thinking outside the box a little bit. I mean, I think one of the best interviews we ever did on the row was DC Douglas, the voice of Wesker himself and everything, and Legion from Mass Effect and tons of other stuff. He didn't want us to send him anything, right? He's like, I just want to kind of just go off the cuff with this. You guys ask me anything you want. Let's have fun with this. And we had so much goddamn fun. Like we were laughing, telling jokes and everything like that. It was great. I mean, we've always had great podcasts. There's never been one that I felt that was dull, but his was one of the best. And I think my personal favorite was with Ruben Langdon. Anything, because I've admired that guy's work for years, and his stunt work and martial arts, and obviously Dean Conte from Devil May Cry, and he's just a fun-loving guy to be around. Like when I met him last year, finally at CTCon with all the Devil May Cry guys, he started talking about portals and aliens, and Dan Southworth takes out a phone. He's like, he presses a button and he goes, "You got 3 minutes, Ruben."
Yeah, no, he does that.
And I love it because he's so passionate about it, and it's interesting, and it's just like, oh my god, like I guess that Dan has like different opinions about portals and aliens and stuff like that, and which that's just hilarious. But that's the thing, like if you can keep it kind of like this, if you do this and stuff, and it's great. I mean, sometimes you got to be a little bit business-like, I guess, with certain people that you do podcasts with, but
depends on the guest, I would say.
Yeah, it depends on the guest. Like sometimes some guests, like maybe they're just not like the podcast type, or they're not as energetic as other guests.
Unless you're Kara Buckland and you come on and you show up like 2 days late, and then you're high and drunk, and then you don't really want to be on my show, and you tell me to hurry it up. Oh, hi! You're the voice actors from Nero. Hi.
Wait, really? That happened?
Yes.
Oh. Damn.
Yeah.
I think these are the best kind of. I don't even want to call it an interview because this is not an interview. No. It's a conversation. It's
a basic podcast, really. Like that's how mine was a couple last week when like 2 weeks ago when I recorded with my friends when we talked about fighting games and the FGC and everything like that. It was just off the cuff kind of stuff. So
yeah, I think those are the best kinds. Honestly, they really are because when we've gone severely off topic, but look at the chat. Nobody cares.
Yeah, well,
Everybody's just having a good time.
We did cover for like a full hour, like everything.
Oh yeah, no, we did.
That was perfect, and then we let into other stuff, so that wasn't that bad. But yeah, like that's the thing. Like we got our point across for I feel like what we wanted to talk about, because again, like we don't want nobody attacking people, and again, for not doing anything bad about like the reviews and saying anything bad, it was kind of disappointing to see the reaction from these reviewers and these other people and how they were acting. It's just like, you're not acting professional.
Those are the people we're talking about, though.
Yeah, well, that's what
like
I'm saying.
That's exactly who.
Exactly, yeah. But like I was saying, it's like like instead of them being adults and being real, they were acting childish. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that have influence in companies that do the same thing. Like they're very like cruel to the fans, and they're condescending, and they're this, that, and then some, and they shouldn't have the jobs they do. If I was working for those company and I saw how they were acting to the people that are just asking basic questions, I'd fire them. Again, this is why I can't be a boss, because I'd be firing people left and right. But
and that's just the thing. One last thing I do want to touch on before we get to the Q&A, and I know you guys have been waiting for the Q&A. hey, if you come on my show or any of my shows, this is how it goes. We talk about one thing, and then we jump out the plane with the parachutes, and we're talking about something else.
You guys got parachutes?
Did you jump out without it? Oh, you're fucked.
I'm crazy. So
speaking of one of the best parachute scenes I've seen in a movie, have you guys seen Overlord?
Oh, no, I have not seen that.
Oh, man. Watch it. I promise you it's great. Think of Call of Duty Zombies, the movie, is what it is.
Oh, okay.
But it's got like one of the best parachute scenes I've seen in a movie right at the beginning. Watch it. That's your homework. It's good.
So one of the things I want to touch on, the last topic I have, for these journalists and for the journalists and for the bigger channels, because I personally feel like we do have a responsibility as content creators who get to work with companies. It is a privilege. Not everyone has this opportunity to do that. For all of us, I know we were gamers as kids. All of us here on this podcast, we were gamers as kids. When we grew up, we didn't know how. The idea of reviewing games for a living was like,
it didn't exist.
It didn't, right?
Yeah.
Right. So for us to be able to do this now, to work with these companies, it's such a privilege. And I feel like a lot of these bigger channels, these bigger YouTubers, these bigger journalists, they don't respect or appreciate that privilege. And so when they get something and they trash it, a lot of them, like certain people that go, "Sup, everybody?" Yes, that was a shot. I'm taking a shot back at that motherfucker. Anyway, certain people will review something, bash it, and move on, and not come back 6 months later or some time later and be like, well, I was wrong on this. They'll just move on because they don't care. A lot of people who are covering games, and I'll say this because I think, Fabian, you may have mentioned this before too. A lot of people that are covering games aren't really, they're either A, not really gamers, or B, they're casual, or C, they fell into it and it's very lucrative for them, so they want to keep doing it. So they don't have that passion for wanting the industry to get better or to games to get better. They just want to, this is profitable for me. So there should be, in my opinion, which is my opinion, there should be checks and balances. There should be a standard. If you're going to review a game, there's no way you're going to review a 40, 50, 60, 80-hour game with a 5-minute review. Yeah. I'm sorry. You can't.
There would be way too much to say.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like there's reviews out there from like IGN and GameSpot that are like between 2 to 5 minutes, and sometimes like their later ones got a little bit longer, but like you can't do it. And I think to add to that too, I think these gaming companies, I think they need to have multiple people working on the review, like 2 people, right?
Yeah.
You need to have two people working on it. That way they both can absorb it and like fire off on one another and see it. Like maybe I didn't see something, but Mikkel saw something that I didn't see that would be good for the review. You know, something like that would, I think, is how they need to do. Because
remember
then,
GamePro and EGM back in the day used to do that.
Yeah.
So,
but
go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that's the thing. If you don't do it, you're going to get more of those guys like the dude who ripped off the Dead Cells review at IGN.
Mikkel loves that guy.
Oh, he's gone. He's out.
Fuck. Yo, mute.
He mad.
He's still one of his reviews.
Now,
really?
That son of a bitch ripped me off with his review of this because that guy, he asked me how to use a fight stick. And all of us here know you don't use a fight stick by holding it like this. You cup the bitch like you're cupping your goddamn balls when your dick is your bitch is sucking you off. I'm sorry. She going, dick is hitting the back of the throat. You gotta cup the balls. I'm sorry.
You forgot the campfire sound effect.
He ripped me off because I gave him the notes and showed him my video. And what did he do? He went and copied it almost verbatim with the same talking points I had. And when I went to people at certain groups, like certain screens of waves, what they did was told me to stay quiet. Now, that part of journalism needs to be fixed. In my rant, I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's the truth because that guy stole a lot. Like, you know, he stole yours, he stole other people's and everything, and nobody noticed until I think like was the reviewer of Dead Cells, the original one, came forward with it.
You know what I thought was genuinely hilarious about that? He was like, he challenged the internet to find any other example. And the internet just comes with a folder this fat, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like that's why if you know you did something wrong, just accept it and apologize. Don't challenge people to find more.
Yeah,
because they'll find it.
Oh, they will.
I don't feel sorry for that guy at all. Like that's one. Like, oh my god, it pisses me off because that's one pet peeve I have about content creators. When you just for me personally, when a lot of times when I do my long form videos, like my Resident Evil timeline, it takes so long because I make it a point to play through all the games myself and capture my own footage.
Yeah.
And then you got a jackass like this just straight up copying people when I'm spending weeks and weeks just capturing footage of a game I've beaten millions of times in my life. You know, and it's just a shame seeing that. The fact that he built up a career off other people's work. So yeah, I can't feel bad for people like that.
Even
like you did it to yourself.
Like even with like, you know, like with you doing your timeline series, like people don't understand how much time that takes. Like
again,
it's just
one person.
Literally, like literally for all of us, the editing process is the most mind-numbing shit. Oh my god.
You know what I hate the most about editing is the audio portion. Yep. Yeah. You're right though.
So I apologize. I gotta apologize to you guys for that rant. That was completely unscripted. Do not do for those who are watching, don't blame Fabian or Tony. That was all me. I have a disclosure.
I got nothing to do with it.
All acts of fuckery. all acts of fuckery are committed by me.
I'm just here listening like a viewer. Shit.
That's my trigger. Every time that comes up, that guy's name, that is my trigger. But I know people have some questions. If you guys can rethrow your questions in the chat, or Fabian, if you see any, we can go ahead and
yeah, I'll scroll up a bit. I saw some popping through. Damn, there's a lot of comments.
They are.
Gaming Master Zero. Fabian, you mean Overlord is Wolfenstein the movie? That's a more accurate assessment, yes. Hang on. I'm sure people will write more questions.
I know it keeps going.
It keeps moving. You hit the big time.
That's the other thing too. People with that's something Fabian and I can talk about. Like when it comes to streaming, when you're streaming, you have a very active chat. It's hard trying to go back and forth.
Oh, I want to say something about that.
Go for it.
No, you guys, for those of you that are on my streams regularly, you already know this. One thing that drives me insane is when someone on a live stream puts a comment up, you miss it, and because you can't read everything, it's impossible. And then they'll repost the same one like 8 different times, and it's got nothing to do with anything going on in that chat. Just those random thing, like, oh my god, it drives me insane. Like, God, I don't want to drop any names. I have someone that keeps, for some reason, bringing up Spider-Man out of nowhere. And I'm like in the middle of a conversation with other people in the chat, and it'll just keep reposting. And then other people in my chat will comment on that person saying, cut it out. Like, I see all that. I ignore it. Like, I ignore it because I'm trying to keep the chat going on, but it's impossible to read everything. And some stuff like that, it's like, why am I going to read? Like, that's got nothing to do with anything. Rogue Jack, and I know you know what I'm talking about because he's messaged me about this. So I appreciate my mods because my mods actually, like, you know, take the reins and control the situation really well to kind of keep it all cleaned up a bit. See, look at you, like, oh god, yeah, I know what the fuck you're talking about. We all know him on Fabian's channel. It's always some, like, Spider-Man thing. I don't know. I don't think I've even mentioned Spider-Man in a stream in, like, a year. I have no idea.
So and that's
going through the chat here.
That leads to something else. Like, so I've had some people that, you know, I've given a mod status to, or I've taken it away from, and some people get upset about that. And here's the thing for me. For me, when it comes to modding, and maybe Fabian, this is the same for you, I'll give a mod to someone who is here for my streams. Like, if you're here, you know, when I stream, you're active, you're not harassing someone else, or you're keeping order. Because there's sometimes when we're streaming, we're playing the game, we're talking, we're interacting. There's some shit that could be going on, that could be drama going on. We can't keep up with it. But those who are mods, that's what you guys are, we give you that status to take care of that. And some people I've had to take that away from because the last stream they showed up to was like a year ago or 2 years ago. Then they come back upset. Well, how come I'm not a mod anymore? You're not here. And it's like, I don't want to give that to just everybody. I want to give that to people who are going to be here, that actually care about the content, that actually care about hanging out. And I don't want that to come off like I'm being a dick about it. But in essence, as content creators, we're business owners. So having a mod that looks out for the business helps. I guess it's probably a terrible way of putting it, but it's the only thing I can think of right now.
Yeah, everyone's got different. Like, my rules for mod are, you're going to be a mod if you're a channel member, a patron, or, like, a personal friend. Because my whole mentality for that, it's not like, I mean, I guess some people could argue it looks like you're charging people to be mods, but that's not it at all. It's the fact that typically, like, even on Patreon, I don't really do rewards, because if I want someone to, if someone decides to spend their own hard-earned money on my channel, I don't want it to be because they think they're just going to get something, like, sent to them, like free stuff. I want it to be for people that genuinely care about the channel's success. So, like, when I have a mod, like when I have someone that decides to become a Patreon for like $1 a month, or a channel member, I know that person genuinely cares about the channel, so I'm going to give them that power to be a mod on the channel and kind of control the flow of everything. There's one person only I've ever had to take mod status on, and I won't say the name of the person, but it's someone that...
Oh, I know who.
Yeah, someone that I got so pissed off, because I'm big on my channel about respecting each other. Like, I don't really get into politics. I'll discuss it every once in a while. That's fine. But when people start arguing over it and disrespecting each other, that's when I'm like, cut the shit out now.
Yeah. And
this individual that was a mod at the time would constantly start berating everyone else bring up politics for no reason when it wasn't the topic of conversation, and then start muting them and putting them in timeout for disagreeing. And a lot of viewers were coming to me like, what's wrong with this dude? And I was like, fuck it, I'm taking away his mod status. I messaged him and I told him I was taking it away, and then hasn't shown up to a stream since.
Yeah.
So, people like that, I don't care if you're left, right, up, down, diagonal. Like, respect each other.
I'm perpendicular, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you're going to come on my channel and start disrespecting other people on the channel and make everyone uncomfortable in the chat, you're gone. Yeah. That's it. I see Austin's got a question there. So, your guys' opinion, what do you think the future holds for the Resident Evil series? Do you think they will work on the next Resident Evil title, aka perhaps 8, or perhaps weren't remakes? I got a simple answer for that. It depends on what the sales look like for Resident Evil 3. That's what I think. I mean, Resident Evil 8's coming. I'm talking post-Resident Evil 8. Whatever happens after, I think it depends on what do you guys think? I think however Resident Evil 3 sells, if it sells really well, remakes aren't going anywhere alongside new, entries. But if the sales get affected to the point where it just completely bombs, they're not going to make another remake. They're not.
Yeah.
It's a sales game.
Pretty much. It's like anything else. It's all about sales, really. Like, people can love it, but if it doesn't perform well, they're like, well, we're not going to waste the money on this.
Yeah. And you got to think, too, it's a Japanese company. Like, they're very big on, did this sell well, yes or no?
Yeah.
Check box. And, if it's a no, roadblock instantly. Like, I like to bring up Darkstalkers. You know what happened with Darkstalkers? Fans have been wanting it forever. However, when Darkstalkers was being actually talked about as fourth to make another sequel, they came out with the Darkstalkers collection. Nobody bought it. So which I understand why, because they want Darkstalkers 4, not a collection of the old ones. But however, Capcom saw that in their mind, saw that as no one cares about Darkstalkers, and here we are a couple Street Fighters later, and we haven't gotten a Darkstalkers. That's what it comes down to, money.
It also like kind of plays into them not paying attention to the series since like 1997, and the characters seem more popular in the crossover games than their own original ones, because those games were coming out during like the highlight of like Street Fighter Alpha series and everything.
Yeah,
and that was a hard thing for them to compete with, and it was their own company. Everything, and if the thing with it is what they need to do, I've talked about this with my friends. If Darkstalkers is to make a comeback, Capcom, I don't think needs to make it. If they want to outsource it to like the guys who did Skullgirls, and because Skullgirls is a phenomenal fighting game, it doesn't get the love that it deserves, but it's really great. And that art style of Skullgirls would fit perfectly with Darkstalkers. Obviously, not like the chibi looking girls and everything, because that was like the style for that. But what I'm saying is, it's kind of like how Dragon Ball FighterZ looks amazing because it's using the engine and such that Guilty Gear made their characters look great with. Because let's face it, 3D fighters. Like Street Fighter 4 and 5, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, the models never really look that good. And whenever you see Morgan from Darkstalkers, that's when she's not in a 2D sprite form, she don't look good.
Yeah.
Anything. And Felicia didn't really look good. Senko didn't look that great. Jetta didn't look too bad in MVCI and everything, but it's still like the style that Dragon Ball FighterZ uses and even Skullgirls uses is something that I think would fit very well. And I think if Darkstalkers came in looking like that, fresh coat of paint and somebody else working on it while having guys from Capcom come work on it too, I think that would get people happy for it.
Maybe. My personal opinion, I would like Darkstalkers in the style of Street Fighter V graphics. That's what I want to see personally. But more importantly, I just want it to be a good fighter. Like, I love Street Fighter. I've been a Street Fighter fan since Street Fighter 2 because nobody back then knew there was a 1.
Yeah.
Like, everyone thought Street Fighter 2 was the first one. But what was I going to say? No, I've been a fan of Street Fighter since the beginning, and then Darkstalkers also. I just don't want to see Capcom just do Street Fighter. Like, I feel like we see too much Street Fighter. I love the series, but why not? And this might change because Capcom has been talking about going back and reviving old IPs. So we might see Darkstalkers, might see Dino Crisis. But I'm ready for that now. You know, Street Fighter 4 is my favorite Street Fighter. I love that one.
It's a great one.
Yeah, introduce Juri, my favorite character. I even like Street Fighter vs. Tekken. But you see all this fighting stuff they do, it always has the name Street Fighter in it. They're not really touching anything else. And I think they've got the talent to bring those old fighting games back, like Darkstalkers, and bring it up to today's standards and make it good.
I'm still wondering for Power Stone 3. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh,
man. I never played that.
It's fun.
I never played that.
The original is the best. It's 2-player only. The second one's not nearly as good, but it's fun because you can play up to 4 players, and it's chaos and mayhem. It's great.
Did Power Stone introduce... I always mix these two games up. The guy from Marvel vs. Capcom with the lightsaber. Mikhail, I know you know who I'm talking about.
Hayato?
Hayato.
Him.
Yeah, no, he was Plasma Sword.
Yeah.
I always confuse Plasma Sword and Power Stone. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Plasma Sword. Elam's got a question. Okay, more serious question. Do you see the game journalist industry crashing?
Legacy media is dying. We're seeing it. It's in its death throes, and it's trying to take anything with it.
People already don't trust the game. I mean, why do you think the name game journalist now is synonymous with, like... I mean, people make fun of the term game journalist. There's a reason for it. People don't trust those reviews. That goes back to the main topic of this whole video. So, do I see it crashing in the future? Yeah. I mean, think about it. Anything that's not necessary eventually will get replaced. Blockbuster. Netflix came in and did it better. Blockbuster's gone. Brick and mortar video game stores, digital's coming in. Those are on the way out. Like, game journalism. I mean, we've got YouTubers and people that don't need to go to school for journalism to post whatever the hell they want online. So naturally, yeah, I think people on online are going to replace them. I just think it's a natural progression. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
Possibly. I mean, journalists have always been around for forever, but the thing is, at the end of the day, if they keep doing what they do and not the right way, like I said, I'm not shitting on the entire profession. I'm just saying it's like the ones that are bad, and let's face it, there's a lot of those. They're going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to take a lot to repair the trust of the people when this kind of stuff happens for too long.
There's been no sign that they're even trying to do that, though. You know, so I like Austin's question. If you guys could have any weapon from any of the Resident Evil games against the undead, what would it be? I wouldn't choose any of them. BFG chainsaw lightsaber. There. That's it. That's my choices.
Barry Burton's Colt Anaconda from the
Ooh,
Remake.
that's good. That's a good one.
Real life, that gun goes for about $6,000. And I
really? Wesker. Remember that from Revelations?
Oh, yeah.
That scene at the end. Oh my God, Barry. Like, that old man is glorious. Like, I
just thought oh yeah, that's right. It's over there. It's buried. But I have his the handgun he uses in that game. I got like the airsoft version of it. But I love like that slow walk he does from the
exactly from the helicopter. They're all leaving, and he's like, "I'll handle this, bitch."
Yeah, no,
slow motion walk. And I was like, "Damn, that beard's going crazy."
You know, he's like, "You sure don't need me, Danny." He goes, "I'll always need you, but for now, I have this." And I'm like, "That's it. This is the best part of the game right here." It
would have been funny if like a tentacle came and like knocked him off the cliff, and the credits just hit you.
You just hear think,
you know, one of my favorite Barry moments is, you know, he's got this high-powered handgun, right?
Yeah.
Resident Evil 1, he shoots a zombie, a regular-ass zombie. I argue he's the most powerful zombie in the history of Mortal Kombat. Why was I going to say that? In the history of Resident Evil. Barry's like, boom, 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 like 3 or 4 shots, and I was like, that should have taken 1 shot, and his head would have popped.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, is he like only like clipping the shoulders or something like that? Like
either way, it's like the golden gun against a zombie. He should have died. Like, you can hit his toenail and the zombie will die.
He was just like so many people like slept on Revelations 2 and said that it wasn't great. Yeah, like they all, a lot of people's criticism was Claire's performance in it, and it's just like, but what about Barry? What about his stuff in there? Like, he makes up for a lot of things that is wrong with that game, and there's not a lot of wrong with it. And stuff. It's just like, you know, like it's got that stupid grainy filter on there, which I think was stupid, but it just really like they really cared about that game in terms of like throwing it back to Easter eggs to older games and everything. You know, they talk about Ouroboros in Africa, and you know, like when he's walking through the mansions, he goes, "I wish I could live in a place like this." And he's like, I've had enough fill of mansions in my lifetime."
Well, but like you said, well, what about Barry? It's like, well, they probably just played like the first 30 minutes.
Yeah. And the funny thing is too, that first part's actually pretty quick. Anything you go right to Barry right after and stuff, and like he's just on a full Liam Neeson mission to find his daughter and everything.
You know what was pretty rough in the Revelations game? In the first one, the final boss, what a son of a bitch. Like that final boss where he teleports and creates clones.
Yeah.
Those are two of my pet peeves in video games, clones and teleporters, and then you mix them into a final boss. I hated that guy.
Yeah, and the game has a partner with you at all time, but you can't play it co-op.
Yeah.
Chris and Parker don't do anything.
Yeah, Chris didn't use his biceps in that battle.
That was before the bulking. Like he had started.
He looked kind of buff in that game.
You know, he's buff in that game, but like, that's also before Resident Evil Lost in Nightmares. And if you play Lost in Nightmares and you see Chris in that versus his 5 version, like you can actually see the decreased bulk in it. So like, you know, because like Jill was gone for I think like 3 years after the Lost in Nightmares thing. So he really bulked up, which did nothing because when I love in 5 when Wesker does the Vulcan death grip to Chris, and Chris is literally nut punching him, and he's literally got balls of steel.
Well, you got to think to defend Chris. I'm a Chris guy, so let me argue a defense for him. You saw the ass whooping he got in Code Veronica at the end.
Oh yeah,
like, he had to go to the gym immediately because had he received it again, like he had to do it to take the blows.
Yep.
From Resident Evil 5 Wesker. That's what, and you notice what happened after Wesker's dead? Resident Evil 7, and he got skinny again. So all that working out, all that working out was to prepare for Wesker. Rogue Dragon asks, "What about early access games?" I assume he means like, what are our thoughts on them? Early access games? I mean, like, Rogue Dragon, do you mean more specifically like pre-ordering games, getting to play them early, or are you talking about like games coming out unfinished? Because that's
you mean like how the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 remake or remasters on PlayStation right now, you got to wait like a month to play it on PC and Xbox.
Yeah, I guess we get some clarification on that.
So
Neil has a question. He said, "Do you guys think E3 will be back next year or done for good?"
I think that's done. That thing is barely holding on as it is, and people were pulling out before this virus thing, and you know, it's just why go to something like that when you have the comfort of sitting at home, having your friends come over and watch what's going on, you know?
Here's my thoughts on it, because I know someone that's directly involved setting up E3 and different conventions, and from what he's told me, they start planning like a year in advance, like selling floor space, talking to companies. Why I think there's a chance we won't see it next year, I don't know if it'll be forever, but right now is about when they would be negotiating for next year. In many cases, no one's doing that right now because of the virus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all that's come to a halt. So if it's going to be next year, if they have it, they're probably going to be rushing, or they're going to have a lot of companies that just aren't going to be there because there were no negotiations. So I think it's going to be a mix. Yeah, I'd say 50-50. But the reason it won't, if it's not there, I think that'll be the reason why. I think the virus, depending on, I mean, they're talking about this might go to like April or May. We really don't know yet. Yeah. Let's say this thing like early June is when we start recovering. I don't think they're going to be having time to do all these negotiations, and
we need to recover now.
I don't know. 50-50.
But I will say this about E3. Like there's a stark difference between watching it and being there.
Oh yeah. That's I completely agreed.
Yeah. Because you're there, you're on the floor, you get to experience everything. And if you get press badges, you get like, you can schedule times to come back and get to play and all that crazy stuff. I mean, like me and my friends, we've just watched it. I remember the year at E3 when they unveiled the Kinect and stuff, and like they're talking about like the Xbox 360 about being like the bro box, as we called it, where it was all about sports. Everything. And I just remember that Will Smith clip from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when they got robbed, and he's like, "Where do video games? Where do video games?" Like it was fun doing that. But yeah, like if you're there, it's a different story. But honestly, E3 doesn't really matter that much anymore because you've got conventions like PAX East, PAX South, PAX Prime, and all that stuff that handles video games and everything. And a lot of companies show up to those.
I think there is a lot of misinformation though online, and again from big YouTubers that have never been there. There's a lot of misinformation online about E3's numbers too, because that's public. That's public data. You can look it up.
Yeah.
You can debate someone about that, like Jason Schreier or someone. Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely. He was talking about how no one's there, how the numbers are lower than ever. It took me 2 seconds to Google. Mind you, never responded to my tweet, but it took me 2 seconds of Googling the chart, and I forgot the exact numbers, but let's just throw something out there. It was like something like 60,000, which is down from like 66,000. But then when you go back a couple years, it was like 30,000. So it's still double what it used to be.
It only lost a small amount.
Exactly. Like that's just a small percentage, which Sony wasn't there. You can easily, I know one of my best friends didn't go specifically because Sony didn't go. So who's to say that small chunk isn't a bunch of people that just didn't think it was worth going because Sony wasn't there? It's very possible, but either way, it's still double what it used to be. So when people say E3's failing because no one's there, tell that to the fucking Doom Eternal line that I couldn't even get into for 3 days because the second
Kakarot one,
I didn't get to that either. And Link's Awakening. Wait, yeah, Link's Awakening. So okay, nobody's there, but I was one of the first groups in the building, gunned it to Doom Eternal, and they told me it was capped for the day because it's full. So it's like, okay, well, who are all these ghosts? Who are all these people that are there? So, like you said, Mikkel, it's different being there than reading a Jason Schreier article online. Like, it did not reflect reality.
That guy blocked me on Twitter.
I mean, he does some good journalism. He really does. I've seen some stuff from him that's good, but stuff like that he posts is very misleading because it's not factual. I mean, you could see, I don't have any secret insider that fed me this information. I was there and you could Google the data. You could Google the numbers. They make it public. It's just wrong.
And the other thing to touch on it with what you're saying about the misinformation about E3, while it, for big companies, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, whatever, bigger companies or AAA or AA studios, it's not going to affect them. Indie studios, it hurts them because
a lot of times that's their only exposure.
That's it, dude. You remember they had like a whole area in was it the West Hall or East Hall? It was just indie over there, and you had a lot of people there because they don't have the resources or the capability of having people, putting out a demo because they have less resources.
Well, and they're excited to talk to you.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, indie devs usually are. And that's the reason why PAX is good, because PAX over the years has become a big indie scene. Like Boston, that's pretty much all it is. Like a lot of big companies, like they do show up and everything, but not like they use. Capcom hasn't been there in like 5 years. And it's all indie games.
Yeah.
I mean, Square Enix is there and everything like that. Bethesda's there and such. And Facebook Gaming wasn't there this past year and stuff, and Nintendo was there because of Animal Crossing. The line for it was huge, but yeah, it's the indie scene that profits from these things. So we lose E3, they still got all the they still got PAX.
I will say one thing: this is not a shot fired. This is
so it is.
Hey! This is me being politically correct. There's something that was said by Sphere Hunter, Susie, that I did not agree with because last year was her first E3, and it was mine as well.
I think I remember we talked about this.
Yeah, where she said it's not worth it, and I'm like, I can't agree with you. I can't. I can't. Maybe
she didn't enjoy it. I don't know. I I went 2 years in a row.
It's just I can't agree with it. Dude, we had fucking fun.
All right, let me say this, and this is kind of throw a shot at you. Listen to this. So you enjoyed it still, and you fucked up a lot. Like you got a hotel over by the airport, and you had to take an Uber and spend like $40 going back and forth like 2 to 3 times a day. You missed a bunch of stuff to see because you had a whole problem with the people that sent you there. You waited like 2 hours to wait for the Avengers, and then all you saw was a trailer. You messed up a lot, but
and missed the
still
first
enjoyed.
day.
Yeah, and you missed the first day, and you still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So she didn't enjoy it. She had to have a horrible time.
She was flown there. She had VIP access. She was with Ruben and Nick the whole time going. Didn't even have to wait in lines. Had the hotel, transportation, everything was taken care of for her. I didn't have any of that.
Me neither.
And I still had fun. So there's a certain perspective, and this goes back to what Fabian said about bigger, the misinformation that's out there. So, if it's not for you, I think as creators, say something, be honest. If you didn't enjoy it, admit it wasn't for you.
Oh, and then explain why. Because there wasn't even an explanation, was there?
No, there wasn't. No, don't just say, yeah, it's not necessary. You shouldn't waste your money and go, because you're not giving me context of why you didn't enjoy it. So I didn't think that was good. I'm like, yeah, I do. That first day was fucked.
I remember. When I was like, oh, where are you staying? Like Airbnb right here? You're like, oh, I'm by the airport. And I was like, what did this man do? And I was like, I told Lonnie, I was like, he stayed by the airport. She's like, what?
Bruh.
And then I went for the convention center, and I'm like, I'm right there. We were literally where I stayed at Airbnb, like 3 minutes walk, because we made the mistake. The first year I went, I made the mistake of getting an Airbnb like 15 minutes from downtown, because on a map it looked like it was close, but when you factor in all the LA traffic, it's like an hour drive. So yeah, I learned my lesson the first time. You go to E3, you stay close to the convention center, spend the extra money on an Airbnb. You'll save it on transportation in like the first day.
Dude, talk about the food. That place that Nick took us. Oh my god, that breakfast was
damn, that food was good.
Dude.
Oh my god. I'm trying to remember the name.
Get the name of the place. So
I have a photo of it. I don't remember.
So we were at E3 last year. Nick Apostolides, he texted me. He was like, hey, want to meet up and get food? I was like, yeah, sure. And I was with Fabian the night prior. I was like, hey, Fabian, what are you doing tomorrow? He's like, nothing. You want to meet Nick? Sure. Then we met up at my hotel. Then Nick drove us to this spot, dude. What was it, chicken and waffles we had? Or something like that?
I had some kind of there was like chicken and like pancake and egg. I don't remember, but it was delicious.
Dude.
It was expensive as hell too.
Dude, it was.
Like all food in Los Angeles. But that food, I remember I was shocked because I went the next day before we left to the airport. And I got like pancakes. They were like, do you want whipped cream and strawberries and extra syrup? I was like, sure. They charged for each one of those items individually on my receipt. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, like, is this a California thing?
Yes, it is.
You charged me like 50 cents for that whipped cream. Yeah, I guess it's a California. I'm in Florida. We don't do that.
Welcome
here.
to California, my friend. Like, my sister was in California, so I've experienced it.
It's a culture shock.
We don't even do that here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
We don't even do that here in Boston, and we're assholes.
Yeah, it was a culture shock. You know what thing really like fucked with my head was everywhere I went, they would give me paper straws, and I was losing my mind everywhere because I was like, what the fuck? I hate these paper straws because like 5 seconds after drinking whatever you're drinking, it's all soggy, and you're like eating the straw at the same time. It's a culture shock. It really is. And oh my God, Mikkel, you remember we were taking those little speeders, those little scooter. We were taking these scooters, the what do they call the lifts and the spins? We were taking the scooters everywhere. We were like rocketing like hyperspace down the sidewalk, not realizing that it's $100 ticket if a cop stops you.
Yeah.
Someone told us that later. That lives actually, multiple people told me that later, and I was like, oh shit! Like I was doing that all over the city. Like it's on video. There's evidence of my crime. Shit. Oops. Like I'm sorry. I'm not from there. LA's awesome though. It's another world.
It is, but
it might as well be on another planet.
I actually remember at PAX South after we got done with the convention, Nick was gonna head to the airport, so he wanted to grab like food and stuff. So me, him, and JJ, we went to go get food and everything. Sitting down at this nice place and everything like that. We're all just talking, like we're just devouring the food and stuff. Because before, or like earlier, like when more of the group was together, we went to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, and all of us were just like engulfing everything. It was just so fucking good. Anything, and Nick can eat. Like I was surprised.
Yes,
he
can.
And so when we're at this other place towards the end of the the end of the trip and everything, I was just like, it's like, all right, dude, like I got this. And he's like, no. I was like, no, I got this, man. You came out here and everything like that. You joined us on our panel. You had a blast. Like, let me pay for your food. He's like, no, don't worry. I was like, don't worry, I got this. So I put the card down, everything like that. And the woman comes back and she goes, I hate to be the one to tell you, but your card's declined. And I was like,
oh, that's embarrassing.
What? And then I realized, oh shit, I didn't tell my bank I was going out of town. So they think, they're like, oh, like,
that.
is now like his stuff is in Texas. What's going on here? And I was like, shit. And so he just smiles and hands her the card, and I'm like, motherfucker.
That's how he was with us. He wouldn't let us pay. We were both trying.
Yeah, no, we tried at Margaritaville, and he paid for everybody. It's like, dude, like you were too kind. Like, what the hell?
Got that Resident Evil 2 money. that Raccoon Police Department funds.
Hey, dude, I'll say this about Nick, man. He's a good guy. The three of us know him.
Yeah,
he's not one of those celebrities that is just like voicing the character. And that dude knows video games. That dude,
he's genuine.
He's a genuine person. Like he's one of the most down to earth people. Talk to him, hang out with him. He's super chill. Like he's approachable. A lot, and this is not a shot at other voice actors, but there's very few that have that level of approachability. I can name him, Ruben,
Brian Hanford, who does V in Devil May Cry 5. Such an awesome dude.
Him, Johnny Young Bosch, Dan Southworth, all approachable. But a lot of these other people, they have a complex. And again, it's not a shot. It's just you have
how
those.
they are.
Yeah, like you have those who know, like, hey, this is my gig, but I'm still a person. And then you have those who their whole entire mentality, which is like the majority of people in this game, their mentality is I'm a celebrity. I'm a voice actor. Like, okay, cool. That's nice.
That doesn't make you a celebrity.
Yeah, like I remember Ali, he tried to get somebody for his podcast and everything, and he was telling me about it. And I guess like he had to pay to get this person on. And I'm like, that's fucked up. Or anything. Like they want that much money? Forget that noise. Trying to think of like some there's like, but that's the thing. For the few bad that you do find, there's so many out there that are good. Like I think like one of the best people that I met him twice. What was his name? Bryce Pappenbrook.
Yeah.
Yep, Bryce. Yep, his father actually was the voice of David King in the Outbreak games.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I brought that to him, and I was talking to him about it and everything like that. And I was like, your father voiced one of the main characters in this game, and I know he passed away many years ago now. But would you sign it in his honor and stuff? And he's like,
that's cool.
He's like, I don't really get people who remember my dad for doing a lot of stuff. I was like, dude, your dad was Rocky Hammerhead on Flint the Time Detective. He was Rito Revolto in Power Rangers. Like, come on. He's like, you remember all that? And I was like, yeah, I do. Anything. And Bryce's faceless like lit up. It was funny too. So like the first time I met him, he came to Boston. So I went to because my girlfriend's obsessed with Miraculous Ladybug, and he plays Cat Noir on that show. So I went to meet him to get an autograph for her for Christmas. or was it Christmas or her 30th birthday? One of the two. And I met him, and so he's sitting at the table, like high up table, and he's sitting up there, like we're talking, we're shooting the shit. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you want a picture?" I was like, "Sure." And we're both martial artists, so we're talking martial arts and everything like that the whole time. He steps down from his thing to come up and like do fight poses with me. He's only about like I think like 5'7", 5'8", and I'm 6'1". So I was just like, when I saw the picture, I was like, wow, there's a real big difference. But his arms are like fucking huge. But he's like the nicest guy, like, you know. And that's the thing about a lot of these actors. Richard Epcar, you know, Balto from Ghost in the Shell, Myotis Mon, Edamon from Digimon, and everything else. Met him before. Him and I talked about James Bond a little too long. I think we were pissing off the people that were in line. Because he loves James Bond and I love James Bond. And like, you know, he was telling me like, oh, I got this, I got that. You know, it's great when you find those guys that truly love what they do and don't treat it like just like, you know, they don't treat it like a job. Like there's some voice actors I've met where it's just like, yeah, I was in this, but I'm only here just to like promote it, yada, yada, yada. Which by the way, I heard, because I didn't get to meet them because of how PAX East set up everything. It was hard to meet them. But the voice actors from the new Final Fantasy VII game apparently are like some of the best people. Like they're super hype, super chill. Because my friends like met them while waiting in line. They came up to him in line and started talking to them. People didn't realize it at first, and then they heard the voices and they were just like, and they were super nice to everybody, like always taking pictures, talking with people and stuff. And I was like, that's the way to be. If you're like that, you're golden.
That interview is coming soon, so everyone watching, stay tuned. It's in the works.
One thing about Nick though, if they reboot Resident Evil 1 or do a Netflix series, tell me Nick can't play Chris Redfield. Resident Evil 1, Chris Redfield. He looks like him.
Yeah,
he does. I always thought, like, I think I actually told him this when we were talking about like cosplay and stuff. I think I told him that he should do the Code Veronica, Chris, because I feel like when his hair grows out a little bit more, he has that.
Yeah.
And, because I don't know if you saw it, dude, but I'm the one who did those cosplay pictures for him and that Ada together.
Yeah.
Oh, that was you that did the photos?
Yeah, that was me.
I remember when we were hanging out with him, he was talking about making a Leon cosplay. Yep. It's cool that he actually went out and did it.
Well, like
it looks legit.
Yeah, like
he was showing us like all the stuff at
all the pieces.
Yeah. Oh my god, funny thing about that, right? So PAX East, we're in Texas. You think Texans would be okay with guns, right? So Nick's props look being legit. Like he was legit with these things, right? They wouldn't let him bring them into the convention. So we're there in line. We're signing, like, you know, me and the row guys and Nick and everything like that. We're meeting the fans. We're talking after the panel, and it's a huge line of friggin' people. Eventually, we realized, you know, they're lining up to Nick and then coming down to us. So what we did was we just went up the line instead. So while they get to meet Nick, we get to sign their stuff and talk to them, shake hands and such. So I'm talking to the Umbrella division that's in San Antonio. They're like, they do airsoft stuff and dress up as the Umbrella soldiers. Nice as hell people. Because I'm gonna do a hunk cosplay at one point. They got me everything I needed, everything like a list.
Oh, nice.
To buy them. Super good people. So all of a sudden I hear Nick going. He goes, "Tony, can you believe this?" And I was like, "Oh, what's up? What's up?" And he's like, he's got like a prop gun. It's like a handgun, and then there's like a prop like grenade launcher. And I'm just like, they let that in? And he's like, "I know. What the hell?" And the girl that was there, she was laughing about it and everything too, because she made all that stuff. And her boyfriend actually found me and Nick later, and he was like, "Yeah, like we're actually, you know, if you guys do cosplays more and stuff, we'll help you make stuff if you help promote it." And I was like, "Shit, dude, okay, yeah." And I've talked to her on Instagram like tons of times. We're always talking. She's super nice girl. But it was so funny that, like, you know, like Nick was just like, he was so bummed out he couldn't bring his gear in with him. But you know, he works his magic, because that shoot that happened, the first part of it, that happened in a hotel that he was staying at. He just went right to the maintenance people and was like, "Yeah, could we shoot this here?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." And I'm like, how the hell back in Boston you try to shoot anywhere, they're just like, it's like, "No, evil stuff, go away, shoo." But he did, like, they let us in. That we used that whole maintenance tunnel area as like a Resident Evil 2 backdrop. Then we shot outside at night and everything, which was great.
That's awesome.
He's just like a genuine good dude. And I remember one of my friends, when like I was hanging out with Nick, she was just like, "You know, I thought people from Massachusetts were massholes. You guys seem way too nice." I'm like, oh my god. Because like once Nick found out that I was from Boston, he's like, "Dude, no way, I am too." And people are like, "Oh, you're like from the city," and like, "No, we just say we're from Boston because you ain't got to know the towns that we're from."
That's how it is. I always tell people I'm from Orlando, but I technically am like 25 minutes from there. But if you name anything around it within like 40 minutes, no one's gonna know what the hell it is.
Yeah. There's
So if you live in my circle, you're from Orlando.
Yeah. It's like there's no cities and towns where we live. The whole state of Florida is just Orlando.
It's just Orlando and Cuba, a little mini Cuba, we call it. Rogue Dragon's got a question.
Let's see. Rogue says, "What do you guys think are some solutions to gamer journalists, both pro and small time? How do you combat anti-consumer tactics like companies like EA, besides not by or hurting the innocent studios?" That's a good question.
That is a good question.
It's a very loaded question.
I think are some solutions to game journalists, both pro and small. I don't know if there is a solution because some people are never going to change. Like, those as long as they're collecting those views, doing what they do, they're just not going to change.
Yeah.
The only way to fix that is if they don't get money for it, is essentially canceling them. But I'm not a fan of canceling people either. It's I don't know. I what do you guys think? I don't think there's a solution. I think there's education and teaching people that
I think that honestly they have to fail in order for change. They have to come to the cusp of where their company is either going to be shut down or they have to reevaluate. Like something happened within the company. They need to reevaluate. I mean, you would think after the the Dead Cell thing, IGN would have really stepped up and changed things, but they haven't since then. Like that was like one of their biggest black eyes, and I feel that it won't change unless they do somewhat come close to failing. Because look at Capcom, for instance, right? They almost failed, as in they almost got bought out.
Yeah,
like that big thing, and everybody was like scared if Microsoft got.
They were going bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing. They were going to get bought out eventually, and people were afraid because they were worried, like, oh, if Microsoft gets them, it's going to be a Rare Studios thing all over again. No one's going to see any of the games ever again, and who's going to buy them out? So Capcom really reevaluated, it seemed, what they needed to do, and they started listening and giving people what they wanted. At least that's from what I saw. But again, you don't want to see companies fail because you don't want to see people go out of work like that, do the good work. But it's like you said, it's hard to see if anything will. Like failure might be the only option, like a complete reboot, close down, and then kind of like what restaurants do. I worked restaurants for like 10 years as well before I did photography full time. And like the only way for a lot of these places to survive was to close down for a week and bring in a whole new staff pretty much and keep the people that were doing good. That was the only way to save a restaurant at those times. Mm-hmm. That was really it. And it might be the same in this case. I don't know, but it's tough.
And then the second part of the question, how do you combat anti-consumer tactics from companies like EA besides not buy or hurting the innocent studios? This goes back to, what I think this goes back to what I said earlier when I used Fallen Order as an example. To combat that is to refuse to spend money on when they are doing something wrong, and more importantly, when they do something right, support them. I think that's the generic answer for that, but I think that's all you really can do because money talks. They're businesses. Money talks. They do something wrong, don't give them your money. And chances are, if you don't, a ton of other people aren't either.
A company is doing complete anti-consumer shit is Koei Tecmo. And look at what they're doing with Dead or Alive 6.
They're pretty much just dropping it.
Yeah, they just, what was it the other day? Like, it's done. Like, they're releasing this final update, and then they're done with the game.
Yeah, the final like patch, and then they're gonna keep the online servers going, but there's gonna be no more DLC outfits or anything.
And the game's only a year old?
I don't even think it's that.
I felt bad because I got a review code for it. I chose not to review the game because everyone that saw me stream it knows I didn't really care for it. Since they gave me a review code, I was like, let me not put a review out because I don't really have anything good to say about it. Like, the game mechanics were fine, but it's just, I'm a big fan of story and fighting games. Like, Mortal Kombat just sealed the deal for that for me. And that it was just a mishmash of bullshit. I didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew what was happening. I beat it. Then it turns out there's another way you have to follow the story. by the end of the stream, I was like, I don't care anymore. Like
DOA,
it wasn't a good game.
Yeah, DOA's story was never like it was strong back in the day before DOA Dimensions came and kind of screwed with the. If you actually, I always noticed that, and if you watch the fourth Snake's wasted character potential and everything like that of Kasumi and other stuff, he goes into detail of what happened with other characters and how they changed from the older games to this now. And 5's story was kind of all right. The acting wasn't as good as it should have been, and it didn't have the impact that especially like that 3 and 4 had. But it was still decent enough. And, people always said, how can you defend DOA 5? And I was like, well, they're still giving outfits.
I liked 5.
They had that game for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And they updated it. They patched it. They balanced it. They did all this stuff. So that's why I gave them a slide for that, because they were giving you like the game launched with good characters already. And it launched with a lot of outfits. DOA 6 didn't have that. I got that digitally because I was like, well, you know what? There's no reward for there's no collector's edition. Should have been a sign right there and everything, because 5 had one and 6 didn't. And so I was just like, all right, well, maybe it's not going to be that bad. I don't hear anybody talking about it. I barely see any advertisements for it. Maybe it's not going to be that bad. And upon playing it, I gave it like a week and I dropped it.
Didn't they have like $1,000 worth of DLC or something like that?
$94 for their first season pass.
Yeah, no thanks. I saw that and I was like, that's got to be a troll.
And
I was like, there's no way. Like, I'll stick without the season pass. Thank you.
It was true. And the problem with that was, not only is that outrageous, but the fact that the outfits that the characters had in the game to choose from were very limited. They were all now color swaps of outfits. They didn't have as many default outfits as they used to. And once again, they were kind of ignoring legacy outfits. Like from classic like DOA games. So I think that at this point right now, you ain't gonna see DOA 7 for probably at least a good 4 or 5 years.
To me, the last really good one I enjoyed 5, but I think Dead or Alive, was it 4? Yeah, I think Dead or Alive 4 on Xbox 360 was like one of my favorite ones. I love that one.
That was a good one.
After that, I didn't care. 5 was all right. I enjoyed it, but 6 to me was like, okay, I don't know what the hell this is.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I tried. I really did. Combat's not that bad, but it just, everything else from like DLC characters that were in DOA 5, now they're DLC. Like I think it was like Rachel or something like that, and Momiji and stuff. I'm like, but they were in the last game. I understand like Mai from King of Fighters, because they probably had to pay what do you call it there?
SNK.
Yeah, they probably had to pay SNK to use her again, so that's why she's DLC. Fine, I get that. That's understandable. But the other characters that you own, come on. That was ridiculous.
It's cool in DOA 4 when they had the Nicole, the female Master Chief in there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And that's a character you'll never see come back. Every other character
definitely not.
Come back, but sadly not her.
Fangirl's got a question. What do you guys want out of Resident Evil 8, like the original or more like 7?
Ooh.
I know exactly what I want from Resident Evil 8. I talk about it all the time. I want it in the style of Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I want a Jill and Leon team up. We've never had them team up in a game.
Ooh.
I want to see, because we know all these characters know each other off screen. They all have connections with each other. I want to see, and also keep in mind, Jill, as of Resident Evil 5, she's just the BSAA. She was just kept locked away and being tested, and you find that out in an email in Revelations 2, and then where is she now? We don't have those answers, so put her back on duty, put her and Leon together. That's what I want. So I know what you guys want.
Okay, so after playing Resident Evil 7 in VR,
as we've been telling you should do.
Hey, I know. I was not trying to do that.
I saw the screens.
And let me tell you about Mikkel. This man has the audacity to last week message me, yo, why didn't you tell me how good PlayStation VR is? Like, bitch, I told you. I was the first one to tell you. And I was like, and you told me, no, fuck that. And I said, you should play Resident Evil 7 VR. Hell no. And now he's like, why didn't you tell me? I told you. Listen to me. I know I told people not to listen to me and make their own opinions. But how would you listen to me? So that's what I need out of you.
No, I would like to have another, or they could do this. They could do in the style of 2 Remake, and have the option if you wanted to play it in VR and first person.
Ooh,
Give me the option. Give me the option of both, because I think a lot of people didn't like 7. There's a lot of complaints about 7 because it is in first person. But after playing it and getting past the initial fear, and you guys all told me once you get past Jack in the first fight, it gets better, and it does. Dude,
yep.
I got hooked.
I still remember when you started, or when you started playing for the first time on stream. This was you on stream. Like,
don't put that evil on me,
guys. I'm really not having fun anymore. I'm serious. I'm not enjoying this stream, and that wasn't even in VR. I felt so bad, but I was sitting there like, oh my god, this is hilarious. But you like it now. But you like it now.
Dude, I love it now.
Yep.
Is there any other questions?
What about Tony? What do you want out of Resident Evil 8?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Chris and Jill back together, you know, partnering up again after, you know, what had happened with her and stuff, you know, if that's going to be a thing. I'm not really sold on the first person aspect of it, honestly, because I feel it only really does good in VR, you know, and not everybody has VR. So, I mean, if they do it in the style of RE2 or 3, then I'm cool with that, you know, like, you know, make it their last mission. Maybe Chris finally dies or Jill does or something.
No.
These characters are getting up there in age. And trust me, I don't want to see like Jill die. I mean, like, look, I'm wearing her on my shirt right now. Like, so, but they're like, Chris and Jill are like in their 40s and everything like that, you know, like this is not a young man's game at this point, except for Barry, because, you know, he's just a beast. You know, I mean,
the immortal Barry Burton.
He gets knocked off a freaking cliff by Alex Wesker and just like rolls down it and comes back.
Hey, it's that beard, man. That's what it is.
Beard.
The Chuck Norris effect.
Very true.
There's no chin underneath his beard. There is only another Magnum. What?
Yeah, I don't know what you said about how they're getting up in age. This is why I was never a fan of them dating the games. Like, instead of like Resident Evil 2 takes place in 1998, and then, you know, they go from there. I kind of wish they had kept the dates out of it, because I feel, yeah, then you could do a little more. Like, you could bring the characters back and not have to worry, like, oh, damn, they're like 50 years old now, though.
Yeah, they're doing that with Street Fighter and Final Fight since they stopped giving them ages. And
yeah, because do you remember how old Ryu was in Street Fighter 2? Like, he'd be, I mean, look now how old he'd be.
Well, like,
you know?
Street Fighter 2, like, Chun-Li, I think, was like, because she's 50 now, or 51.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, if you go by, like, the original birth dates and everything like that, she's 51. And, like, Ryu's about, I think, like, 45 or something, or, like, 46.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand you could, like, go, like, the Revelations games, the solution was to go back in the timeline.
Yeah.
And, you know, make, like, side stories taking place before, but just don't even worry about the dates.
But I feel like, you know, because they've been around in so many games and so many years, it'd be okay to age them and stuff, because they have been around for so long, you know, in all these games. There's been a lot that they've been through, and, you know, it's kind of like when you like when you're a writer, you don't keep putting characters in because they're beloved, because yeah, that's great, but then what's there left to do for the character to change and develop when they've already developed and pretty much have gone as far as they could go?
Yeah,
it's kind of the reasons why, one of the reasons why I like that show, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, because nobody really stays on that show that long. It could be a season, it could be 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4, and they finally like give them enough as characters to go on. And then it's just like, yeah, there's nothing much left for these characters. It's time to write them off in some way. They go somewhere, they pass on, or whatever the case may be. And I think, you know, Resident Evil 6 was originally going to go that route and have Chris die and Piers be the one to take the role. Which,
man, I thought Piers was such a good addition.
Right?
To that, like, him and Chris together, like, it kind of reminded me of Lord of the Rings. They were Sam and Frodo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Piers was Sam. He was the one constantly badgering Chris, trying to keep him under control. Fuck, that was so good. And when he died, I was just like, oh man, I got a twinkle in my eye.
Come on, Mr. River.
Like, he was such a good character.
He was, and like I mean, like thankfully he got a chance to come back in many ways in that that Resident Evil manga that came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Are you talking about Heavenly Island? Was it? Or are you talking
no,
about a different one?
that was the second one. The first
Oh,
the first one where it wasn't really about Chris or Pierce and that other girl from the BSA. It was about that kid who went to that school with his uncle and virus or whatever in the school.
I'm trying to remember the name.
Girl infecting people, and then Chris and Pierce come and save the day. And
that's the first chronological appearance. I did the timeline series, and I can't remember the damn name of the. So I read the whole story. It's not a very good story. I didn't care for it, but
yeah, it was.
I like that Pierce was in it.
Yeah, like Pierce and Chris were in there, and it was great. But that was like the only like really good part of it. And then Claire was in the Heavenly Island one. But yeah, I don't know. Like I just feel that like, given their age, it is time to set them out to pasture, have them retire. Like, you know, there could be like new recruits that come in. Like if you ever made Resident Evil 9 and stuff, you just be like, yeah, like this person, when you find out, was trained by Jill personally to take her spot type deal. She was one of the best recruits in like the BSAA ranks and everything, something like that, you know.
I kind of feel they were trying that with Resident Evil 7 because remember they introduced Ethan, brand new character, but I don't think fans really took onto him too much. I
honestly feel that Ethan was really just a one-off character that you're never going to see again. I mean, the rumors say that he's going to be an 8, but if that's the case, I hope he's not because he's just so boring. Maybe they'll change that in this one. I mean, I'm sorry. Dude gets his hand fucking nailed to a wall by his wife and hand cut off, and he barely reacts to it. Like, I'm sorry.
They use that green herb juice.
Yeah.
Whatever that was that he put on him. Oh, Rogue Dragons. Marhawa Desires. That's what the name of that manga was.
Oh, okay.
With the school.
All right, thank you, Dragon. Thank you, yeah.
Man, and speaking of the mangas, like for my timeline series, I read through them, and I had to read through the Heavenly Island one. That is a tough read.
Really?
Like that one, yeah, it's hard to get through because there's a whole like reality show going on, and you have like these really stereotypical anime characters in it, like that don't mix in well with Resident Evil. It's weird. It's a really tough read. I really didn't enjoy that story. I honestly, when I did my timeline series, I left out most of that story. Like I focused on the main details just because it was such a boring story to get through. Did not care for it.
I will say, if we don't get Jill in a game, okay, fine. I mean, I'm going to be pissed, but you can make up for that by giving me another CGI movie with her in it because she has yet to be in one of those.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like she took a back seat hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Was it Resident Evil 3? Oh, Revelations she was in, and 5, but 5 she wasn't playable really, except the DLC.
Yeah, the 2 DLC modes. That's
yeah.
It. But yeah, like, I mean, I would love to see her in a CGI movie because, I mean, I love Vendetta. I know it's stupid. I know it's over the top. That the fucking chick with the railgun just takes out 3 buildings.
That's what makes it good, though.
Yeah, I saw that in theater, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, there was probably survivors in those buildings. Not anymore.
I mean, Leon's in a motorcycle throwing grenades at dogs and blowing up innocent vehicles. I mean, does anything else need to be said?
They're getting blown up in the minivan.
Like, you're talking about the rail. Maybe it was empty. But Leon, someone was driving that car and it was a family van. So he was like, oh no, dogs, fuck that family. Those grenades. Like, did you really need to throw grenades to kill 2 servers, though?
One. I only got one of them. There was only one that he threw it at. I'm like,
so you got one and an innocent family. Well done. Well done, Leon.
Oops.
The gun fu in that movie was amazing, though.
Oh yeah, no, I got to talk to Jason Font about that next time because he was the motion capture for Leon. I got to talk to him about that again because he actually was telling me about that when I first met him that he was gonna he was in that movie when they announced it, and I was like, shit. And then we didn't see the gun fu at first, so I was like, god damn.
Why can't I do that in the game? I'm so limited in the game. Like, I didn't play Resident Evil 1 and see Chris doing all these crazy moves. Like, doing karate moves on the zombies. And then in Resident Evil 6, if your stamina's low, you're like, with your leg, and you can barely kick. It's crazy.
So, we're going to take about 3 more questions, because I know these guys got stuff that they need to be working on, and a lot of y'all in the UK are still here, and it's 3 a.m.
I've been ordering pizza on my phone.
You guys.
It's crazy. So, Rogue has a question. His question is about what about the review bombing of Resident Evil 3? That's exactly what it is. It's review bombing. And that's that comes down to an ethics thing. You know,
Mhm.
why are they doing that? Like, I know that, you know, from some folks, I don't want to name names of Capcom, some of the bigger outlets were expecting being sent, like, because Capcom typically sends like care packages to certain groups, you know, certain people who do. They didn't do that for 3, and I know a lot of creators were upset about that, and it's just questionable. I watched 7 different reviews with all the same talking points. The only people who had varying opinions was What Culture Gaming, and I don't go to them for reviews, but they actually had a good fucking review for Resident Evil 3. But as far as all these others, it's I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the danger of these like Metacritic sites. When something's getting review bombed, you're not actually getting real critical reviews from that. It's just people emotionally reacting to something for whatever reason and just trying to destroy the game. There's a certain responsibility though upon the person making a decision to buy the game or not to actually look at those reviews, you know, because it's I guess responsibility is the wrong word, but looking at Metacritic and seeing a percentage that doesn't really say anything about the quality of something. You know, it could be a completely different. Like I know Rotten Tomatoes with I think there was a big controversy with I think it was Captain Marvel. I didn't care about that movie. I thought that movie was very generic. But I didn't care about all the Brie Larson like drama that was happening off screen. But that's the reason a lot of people review bomb that movie. That says nothing about the actual movie. You know, so read the reviews and make your own opinions and I don't know, just don't let reviews decide whether you want to buy something. You know, it's I've done that in the past where I've already been on the fence with a game where I'll read reviews if I'm really not sure and I'll be like, all right, maybe I'll wait till it gets cheaper.
Yeah.
But if there's something you really want to play like Resident Evil 3 and then you read a bad review and suddenly you're like, oh, I guess they messed it up. I'm not buying that. It's like it's a different situation.
Yeah.
They really.
What about you, Tony? Tony, you got anything on that?
No, pretty much exactly what he said. It was all the same thing, really.
Yeah.
Anything, you know, like these, like I mean, and can anybody like write a Metacritic score, really?
Yeah.
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 I think you just have to like make an account and sign up and then
Yeah, so like you know, like see, like that's the problem, you know, like you got like all this stuff where like you know people they might not be reviewers, and then, but it does affect the scores, and that's kind of an issue where if you're gonna have that, people don't get that. People think that that's it, like that's the final say, and I'm just like, no, you shouldn't be able to have that. If people want to do their own reviews, put them on their own sites.
Yeah.
It's like Rotten Tomatoes, like of everything that happens. Like okay, best example, like critics hated the last couple of things that Dave Chappelle did. I think he got
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah, like it was like 100% rotten or something like that from the critics, but the fans were all like 95% loving it. Anything. Because his shit's the truth and people don't like to hear that shit. And
It's what he's always done too.
yeah, it's what he's always done. And then like, you know, he keeps getting money and Netflix keeps giving him more money, and the more bad reviews he gets, the more specials he gets, and he's just kind of like on the sideline like, gotcha, bitch. And you know, like that's the thing. Like I think that if anybody's allowed to do a review, well then who's really right, who's really wrong, who do you listen to type deal. Like we said, you know, listen to yourself, but try not to get poisoned by the people who don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is hard because everybody seems to have a voice because it's the internet.
And there's the other thing too is these companies. I know you guys both said this also falls on the companies as well, because you have a lot of companies that will, you know, work with certain outlets because of, oh, you got this many subscribers, oh, you've got this much of a reach on your news outlet or whatever, and they're going for quantity or quality. If I was Capcom, with all these people that are reviewing, and as you guys know, I've had Kathy from Capcom on here, I've had Dimitri from Bandai Namco. because this is something I'm trying to understand with how they think, in their positions in the companies. How are you choosing these people? How are what's the word I'm looking for?
How do you
Vetting.
go about choosing who's worthy to have these things? Like, who's the trustworthy one? Who's the legit one? Do you do your reviews on the people? Do you watch their videos, or you just look at their stuff?
Yeah, and it's because if you're just picking this person because they've got this many subs, well, what if they shit on your product? Now, and I understand there has to be a level of we need to promote it. We need to not spend so much to market the game out there because going with a marketing and promotional company costs hundreds of thousands of dollars versus working with an influencer that's already got an installed base. But at the same time, when you're putting the guy that Fabian you were talking about, his title was disappointment of Resident Evil 3. A lot of people are not even going to watch his review.
They're just going to say he thought it was bad and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to read or watch anything. Nobody's got time for any of that stuff. They just see it. It's like, oh, it's bad. Fuck that. I'm out.
Well, think about this too. Like, what if it says it's a disappointment, but you watch the review and he actually talks about a lot of things he did enjoy about it? That's possible too.
Exactly.
But just from that title, people will just take that title and be like, oh, game sucks. 4 hours long. Done.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, doing 2 seconds of research solves a lot of these questions.
Yeah, but that's
in many cases.
Too much effort. Too much.
Rogue Dragon actually was telling me the other day about, he put me on this where Doom Eternal, some critics are saying there's way too much reading.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the
violence.
Well, but the thing is, there's too much reading if you go out and search every collectible and read through all the pages of lore. You don't have to do that. I just played through that entire game and enjoyed the hell out of it and understood the story by just playing through. I can go back later on a second playthrough and collect everything and read through. That's not a reason to knock the game. It's misleading as a title, too much reading. Oh, I guess they slowed it down. No.
Amazing Lucas, he did his review of it too. He also said he made a point in there which I thought was very incorrect, and I called him out on it before, where he said that there's a lot of mechanics the game doesn't teach you. The game teaches you everything.
And they also, God, that's so wrong, because every time there's a new enemy that requires new tactics, they'll slowly start introducing that enemy more and more to get you used to it. And then at the end, exactly. And then at the end, when there's everything and their mother is coming to rape you, you're already familiar with all these tactics per enemy because they've come up to you so many times and you've slowly learned. It's amazing. It really is amazing what they did with that game. So he's wrong. That's incorrect.
Yeah.
We'll take one more question and then we'll start the wrap up, guys. So go ahead, throw your questions in there. We'll pick whichever is the best one, and then we'll go from there. But this idea of Resident Evil 3, the review bombing, it's not worth it. It's $60, it's not worth $60. This is where I kind of wonder where these people who are gamers, their mentality, because you guys remember when games used to be like 90, 80 something dollars back in the 90s, right?
Yeah, if people would actually do their freaking research, you could go back to the Toys R Us and KB Toys ads, and Super Nintendo games were literally $90.
Mm-hmm. And they were an hour long.
Yeah.
They were literally.
And sometimes they didn't even work properly.
Yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree with that. I remember buying what was it? Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. I got that on Super Nintendo. Game's amazing. It was $65 at EB or Electronics Boutique it was called back then. It wasn't EB Games yet. And I remember getting Sonic the Hedgehog 1. It was $35. Mm-hmm. You beat that game in an hour easy. So yeah, it's games are still expensive. They're still $60. But even with a $60 game that's not necessarily a long game, you still get a lot out of it at times.
Yeah. You do.
So which question you guys want to pick?
I'm scrolling through them.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll answer a mini question real quick. Do you guys think they should bring back Jake Mueller, making relevant again? No, I don't like that character. I don't like all these mystery children appearing out of nowhere that we've never heard of before.
Yeah,
I like Jake.
his story as a character is pretty much already done. Like,
Yeah,
his blood can cure the C virus and everything like that. So then there you go. Story's done. Don't need anything else about him.
yeah.
I think they'll bring back Alex Wesker.
Oh, they have to.
I don't think they're going to. I think they should. I think they're gonna. I kind of feel like it's just gonna be a forgotten storyline.
Yeah, kind of like what they did with Revelations.
That's what I mean. Just start stuff and then be like, oh, no one remembers that. Just we don't really know what to do with that. What do you do with that? Like Natalia's gonna grow up to be. She's just gonna turn into Alex Wesker. Like, how do you save her from that?
Sure.
I don't know.
Austin says, if you guys could meet a Resident Evil character in real life, who would it be and why?
Meet a Resident Evil character in real life. Who would it be and why?
Oh, of course.
Zombie Crow.
This is
I'm just
easy.
kidding, no.
It's gonna be Ashley, because she's equipped with ballistics.
Shit, screw that, man. I'll meet Jessica. I'll meet Jessica going to date that scuba outfit.
I see the president has equipped his daughter with ballistics too.
Actually, no. You know who I would meet just so I could punch him in the nuts? Raymond. Remember Raymond?
Oh god,
I can't stand that dude. The in Revelations 1 with the red hair, he looks like Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
The worst character design I've seen in that whole damn series. And God, I hate him. He's such an annoying character. So maybe him.
I would like to see Barry come back again, meet Barry in real life, because like he's just the kind of guy that I would love to just go to the gun range with and like shoot guns all day.
I just want to shake his hand.
Yeah, and just like hang out with him at a bar after and eat wings and shit like that. Like he looks like
eat wings.
It looks like he'd be a guy who's into wings or burgers at least.
Very true.
Like he loves guns and shit like that. I love guns and stuff, so I don't know. He'd be the character I'd love to meet the most.
Rogue Dragon's got a good one. I want the characters from Dead Aim. I don't care about Dead Aim, but Andy says Survivor to come back. I like that because
Survivor is canon.
Well, and Ark Thompson's supposed to be like a buddy of Leon. Where the hell is he? Do you remember Buddy from Resident Evil, from the CG movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, the paralyzed guy at the end, yeah.
Yeah. I thought, before that movie came out, I was convinced that was Ark Thompson. He looks just like him.
He does.
And then he's some foreign guy called Buddy, and I was like, what the hell is that? Could have lost opportunity. Should have just made him the main character.
See, I would want to meet Chris. That way I can get workout tips and be like, how do I get to that status of no necking?
Steroids!
Well, you have to get your ass kicked by Wesker. That's how.
Rogue
Dragon says Raymond is the ultimate Crimson Head.
God.
I hate Raymond.
So is there anything you guys want to leave the audience with before we go?
Stay home. Don't go out. Yeah. That's how I've been ending all my streams. Stay home. Stay safe.
Pretty much, yeah, same thing. Just stay home. Be safe. Don't go out unless you have to like the stores or whatever. Practice, social distancing and play more video games. And again, when it comes to reviews, you can watch the reviews and you can like the people. Just make sure you have your own opinion and to make sure that it's your opinion and nobody else's when it comes time to like understanding the game.
I was trying to practice social distancing in Doom Eternal. That game at the end, let me tell you, when they lost their mind on Nightmare Mode at the end, the last level, I'm on top of the building. Everything I've ever fought in the history of Doom is coming at me. And I was like, no, social distancing. Get away from me. It was intense.
Come on, motherfuckers!
Demons do not practice social distancing. They only practice rip and tear. I'll leave you guys with that. Bye, Doom Eternal. Bye, Resident Evil 3.
What about Animal Crossing?
I don't care about Animal Crossing.
Vote for Isabel.
Okay, no hate to anyone that likes it. I think it's incredibly boring. Like, how do I go from ripping demons apart on Nightmare Mode and Doom Eternal to play Animal Crossing. I can't do it. I can't transition like that. Yeah, buy them both.
I mean, honestly, if they give me maybe like Doom guy's head and everything like that, like the helmet, maybe I'll get Animal Crossing then.
Yeah, but can you still chainsaw things?
Sadly, no, because those tarantulas would be fucked.
That's my point. No BFG either.
So the only thing I have to say to leave us all with is people, think for yourselves. Like, you can take in our reviews, our critiques. You can take in journalists or YouTubers or anything like that, but think for yourself. Critically think. Take a moment to do your own research. Like Fabian's been saying this whole stream, it does not take much to do a quick, search on Google to look something up. It's not hard. Just think for yourselves. I really don't understand why people want to be told what to do and what to think and what to say now. Like, this is, especially gamers. I just feel like since our medium has become mainstream, things have changed. And I just don't. It's been a good thing and a bad thing. And we're seeing, stuff like the whole review bombing for Resident Evil 3. It's not the only game they've review bombed. It just, that type of shit needs to stop, because effectively review bombing is canceling games.
With anything good, there's always going to be people that, bring it down for everybody.
And people saying that, I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, Resident Evil 3 was a lazy job, this and this. Until you've actually, a lot of us don't watch credits of games. But when you say something like in a game is just lazy, like a game is reuse assets and all that, look at the credits. Look how many people worked on that project. I was with Capcom last year with Ruben Langdon when they came out here to work on, Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 3 Remake, and other stuff to get sounds, do voice recordings, and more. I've seen the behind the scenes footage. I've actually went with the sound team to go into the woods to capture certain ambient sounds. To say that is lazy is a fucking injustice.
And you also have to remember too, like a lot of these people have to understand is it's not the developer's fault that things go the way they do sometimes. It's the bigwigs upstairs who don't understand gaming. They just see the money in the business aspect. They think they know what fans want, but they're older than us. They're like old men in their like 50s and 60s. They don't understand gaming. Everything. They come from the world of business, and instead of trusting their developers, they think they know what we want and they force change. Or sometimes when you look at something like Resident Evil 6, you had 8 different studios working on that. And there's a lot that got lost in translation.
Also, to add on to that, if you're saying a certain game is lazy, like, for example, Resident Evil 3 Remake, criticism that it's lazy, when you question the people that say that and ask them why, there's never any real answer.
No.
Because they're just saying things. Like, give me examples. Okay, what exactly is lazy about it? What are they going to say? There's never an answer to it. It's just people talking. People talk out of their ass. It happens all the time.
Yeah, not in a cool way like Ace Ventura.
So with that being said, where can people find you guys? Go ahead, plug your links. Any projects you're working on, anything in the works, go ahead, tell them. Push.
Well, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon. Did I say YouTube already? I'm YouTube. I'm on YouTube right now.
And Twitter, right? And OnlyFans.
And what I am working on, I'm working on several projects at once. If I sat here telling you what I was working on, stream would be another 25 minutes. So I'll just say this. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm finishing Doom 2016 on stream. And at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to go back into Resident Evil 3 Remake. Being the streams, I always talk about all the stuff I'm working on. So I'll leave it at that.
And on his OnlyFans, people, he's going to be doing an ASMR session of him shaving his beard.
With video footage of my feet.
Tony, tell him. Where you at, man?
I can't follow that. That's great. If you guys want to follow me, I am on multiple different sites. The big one that you can find me on is over at the Residents of Evil. You just type in youtube.com/Roe Network, ROE Network. That's where we just cover a lot of Resident Evil stuff and have a lot of podcasts. And like I said, our guy Ali, who handles a lot of that stuff, we will have working on getting a lot of people on the podcast soon. So there's that. Then there's my own personal YouTube channel where I do YouTube reviews and rants and all kinds of stuff. You can find me over there at youtube.com/new2retro-reviews. That's 2 with as the number 2. I've been on there for like 8 years and I have a lot of fun. And I also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/outer heaven gaming. It's all with spaces in between. I'm sure they'll be down in the links below.
Yeah. And before we leave, I actually have one final question. I lied to you guys. Did y'all, both the audience and the two of you here, did you have fun with this?
Hell no, this sucked.
Oh,
I love it. Like, yeah.
You know, we always have fun. It's funny because the audience doesn't see what me and Mikkel usually talk about through like Facebook messaging. This is just an extension of what we talk about daily.
yeah.
Like, this is what we talk about in video form.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the same thing with me and Tony too. Like, we talk about the same shit too. So it's like you basically just have 3 guys just saying, "Hey, we're just not gonna type it. We're just gonna fucking hit record and go." So, so with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this stream, you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're interested, become a channel member, Patreon as well. Different benefits with that. We have links to both my guests, Tony from Residents of Evil, as well as Fabian from GamerThumb. The links are down in the description. The social media links, the channels, go sub to their channels. Go follow them on social media. Go sign up to OnlyFans so you can watch Fabian do his ASMR shaving.
And smash those likes as hard as the bakers are smashing Mikkel in VR. I went there.
Ah, you broke him. You broke him.
And with that, it's over.
With that being said, this is the transition episode of the Casanova podcast into the best damn podcast show, period. I'm thankful to YouTube for coming on and being the first guests on that. And if you guys enjoyed this, you want to see more, we got more stuff coming. Next week, we're going to be interviewing Avalanche Reviews. That's going to be fun. We've got TC Carson, who is the original voice of Kratos. We got
Boy.
Him too. He's coming out in a couple months.
I saw you post that. I was like, ooh.
Michael Ironside.
You got those magical voices. After I know I'm extending the stream, but I just want to say this last thing. After I played God of War, my fiance got sick of me addressing everyone as boy. Didn't matter if you're a girl or female. Like, I would, like, if I was hungry, I would tell her, I'd be like, boy, I'm hungry. Like, I spent weeks. It was weeks before it washed out of my system. So, you continue. I didn't even interrupt.
No. So, yeah, we got that coming on. So, stay tuned for it. If you want early access to stuff, we have Patreon and channel memberships. Completely optional. You don't have to do that. And this is something we all said. If you want to support any creator, any of us here, it's completely optional. If you want to financially, cool. If not, being here, interacting like you guys were in the chat, hitting the like button, sharing the streams, that is also supporting, and we greatly appreciate that. We love you guys. Hope y'all had a good one. We had no trolls today. Well, we had one, but Rogue went and sent him to the Phantom Zone. So thank you for doing that, Rogue. But other than that, be safe. Stay your asses home. Only go out if you need to get toilet paper because hashtag priorities, you know. But other than that, please be safe, everyone. It's especially right with everything that's going on. Do what you can to help out the elderly.
Stay home and watch YouTube.
Yeah, do that. And with that being said, Fabian, Tony, and myself, we're signing out. Y'all have a good one.